That's a beautiful, beautiful lighthouse. We just wanted everyone to see that, set the tone here. The ship in the distance. Oh, I still have my scarf on. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
It's so comfortable. I love having,
Stand by.
I love wearing a scarf.
Right?
I don't know, it just makes me feel secure.
Okay.
I'm so secure.
I'm so secure with myself.
So we got one listener from Minneapolis.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Apparently has not been killed yet.
Jesus.
Oh,
Jeez.
Steve.
Steve.
Wow.
Come on.
Somebody,
Like, keep it light for a second.
I read an article, I think it was George Will wrote it, comparing what's happening in Minnesota to Gettysburg.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, you know, this is has the potential to change the tide of public opinion against ICE and the Trump administration, et cetera.
It's been happening.
A lot of people pointed out that during the actual Gettysburg, one of the turning points of that battle was when a company from Minnesota held off like a superior rebel force and held the flank or something.
Yeah, I mean, look, we have a situation here in the United States that the entire world seems to be fully aware of. What? What's happening?
They're just making fun of Steve for being okay, whatever.
Okay.
Being Steve.
So everybody, you know, that I know, you know, from social media and from all
Yeah.
the live events and all of we have real friends that live around the world. You know, I'm getting a pulse from all of these people who are constantly, posting on my posts on Facebook and texting me and, you know, just
Get to your point.
we're having no rush here. So
We got shit to do.
the bottom line is, like, I feel like I personally have a pretty good pulse on what the rest of the world thinks. Not to mention all the, you know, just general things that you read. You know what I mean? It's like everybody's saying it. You know, world leaders are saying it, and you know, we're literally entering like a police state. You know, like you know, Trump has a police force.
Entering.
He's telling them what to do. Any you know idea that that ICE isn't being specifically told what to do and what tone to set and all that is nonsense. It's nonsense. And we had 2 horrific murders happen.
Well, hold on. Can we start the show before we get into that? Because we have a whole set of things that we're going to
Well,
show.
you gotta jump in there.
Okay.
You know, like, what do you want to do? You want to talk? It's Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay, it's Wednesday, my dudes. Hello, everybody. January 28th, 2026.
January
of our
28th.
Lord.
Yeah. Okay.
We may or may not be in the right timeline, and that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to do a fun thing before the rest.
Okay.
of this
Sorry, Ian.
Jesus. And then, are we in the wrong timeline? Question mark. It's a simulation. Don't trust your eyes. What was the movie with the glasses and the thing? What did it say?
Oh, yeah,
obey.
they,
They
them.
live.
They live. Yeah.
Yes.
They live. Yes. Okay. Anyway, all that.
I'm
One of
here
the-
to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble gum.
That's true.
That
is
movie has
true.
a fantastic fist fight in it.
That fist fight.
So long too,
It
right?
is.
Isn't it like 8 minutes?
And when you get punched, it
trying to
actually
find life.
shows the effects of a punch. I
I
mean, it's
know, right?
actually
It's
like
amazing.
realistic-ish
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
compared to every other fist fight.
I mean, most fist fights, if you get one good shot to the jaw, you're
You're
done.
done.
That's
I'm outta
it.
here.
You
know, just
win.
Your knees no longer work. You know?
So first off, welcome to our TikTokers. I don't know how you guys are surviving on the new algorithm updates.
Yeah,
People-
apparently we fixed everything that was wrong with TikTok.
Yeah,
right?
totally. Yeah, everything's better now, and it's definitely not controlled by Trump loyalists, and it's fine.
So now you can say,
Mm-hmm.
what's his name?
Frankie Gismore?
No, the bear. Pooh Bear.
Pooh Bear.
Winnie
Oh,
the
that's
Pooh. You
true.
can say Winnie the Pooh,
Pooh Bear.
but you can't say Epstein.
That's
That's
the-
really the only difference.
People don't know that
between China TikTok
in
and
China,
America TikTok.
in theory, you're not allowed to say Winnie the Pooh because Xi Jinping kind of looks like Winnie the Pooh, but not really. But I think that's kind of a myth, but whatever. But it's still funny. We can call Trump now Pooh. Winnie the
So,
Pooh.
Ian, let me
Yes,
ask
sir.
you a question.
Oh, good. Good God.
Wait, before you do that, did you
Yes,
know?
Bob. Yes, Bob. Please.
Did you
Please
know
stop.
that the Winnie the Pooh costume in Disney is not a good costume to be inside because his eyes are so small he can't see crap.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
yeah,
good
I've,
point.
I've read things about the different costumes.
But wouldn't it be in like the
throwing
neck?
that out there.
Wouldn't there be like a mesh thing in the neck so you see through if it's like so big? No,
Not for Pooh Bear.
not for Pooh.
They don't
Not
look
for-
through the neck.
They don't look through the neck. Don't look at the neck.
Did you know that most Mickeys are in fact women inside the costume?
Yeah,
Wouldn't be
because
surprised
he's
at that.
slender.
Well, it's more. It's like he's like
petite.
5 feet tall.
Yeah.
So it's basically the people in there basically are they match this. You got to match
Yeah.
the size. So
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah,
That's,
so it
that's,
could be-
gender's irrelevant.
that's a critical determinant.
So it's women or Greg Bovino. Oh, come right. Anybody? No. Because he's short. All right. Sorry.
Yeah.
Speaking of that guy,
No. We're doing fun first.
Fun first.
Sorry.
Come
Sorry.
on,
I didn't
man.
mean to do it. I'm sorry.
let's go for fun. Here we go.
All right. We're gonna go fun. So, do you know that James Blunt song? You beautiful, whatever that song is.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
heard that one.
Beautiful. Okay. So there's
Sing a few more bars of it for us.
or before we get DMCA'd. So apparently TikTok has graced us with a new version of this song. Let's see if you guys like it. You guys are familiar with Grown Tunes?
What the hell's happening?
You know what a groan tube is?
I could infer.
I should have actually pre-warned. If anybody has emmophobia, what is the one where you have the fear of throwing up?
A metaphobia?
I think
maybe?
that might be what.
I mean,
yeah,
don't
you
we
probably-
all have it a
Emetophobia?
little bit? You know, like it's a horrible thing.
Does anybody here have that? Like if somebody like throws up, you feel like you're kind of like.
Nah,
"Ugh."
I'm
If I smell it,
If
I
you
might
smell
want
it,
to
yeah.
throw up.
That's true, but like yeah, this was
Sympathetic vomiting.
sympathetic vomiting. That's right. But anyway,
the vomit that spread the
I
word.
don't know
Like
who
Chunk
tagged
from
us in
Goonies.
Yeah.
His story.
I'm gonna hurl.
Like didn't we talk about this? Those guys that like open up those cans of fish, the fish liquid.
Oh yeah,
And then, like, I love it. Like Bob's the guy that's opening the can. The guy that's sitting here, as soon as he cracks the can, the guy goes, "Ooh!" Like, 'cause he
Oh,
smells it.
That's like the supposedly the nastiest
Yeah, it's
canned
rancid.
food
surströmming.
anywhere.
It's called surströmming. It's like fermented whole fish.
Yeah.
In Sweden.
I mean,
Not
at this
even
point,
during
I
the
would
apocalypse,
I'd
my
imagine
friends.
most of their sales are like people making videos.
Yeah,
I don't
dick.
like fish. I don't like fermented things, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Sweden.
Yeah. They don't like sweets.
I'm
That's
not serious about the Sweden part, but I don't like the other two things.
I've
Take
been,
that, IKEA.
I've been to Sweden so many times, and it's a beautiful country. The people are great.
Yeah, and we're basically we're a quarter Swedish. Also,
Yeah.
Our
Yeah,
grandfather was Swedish.
Which quarter?
Our maternal grandfather.
There you go.
That quarter.
Very
His-
cool. Very
His
cool.
first name.
Alfred Axel
Anderson.
Anderson.
Yeah,
That's
AAA.
That seems very Swedish.
Triple
That's
A.
And
true.
he married an Italian,
A little
Carmela
short Italian
Conchetta
woman.
Corrado, AAA and CCC.
They both and my grandfather
made a
only
BB
killed like two
baby,
people, which
baby.
is like nothing turn of the century, right?
So, how many patrons do you think we could get if we had Steve eating surströmming?
Oh,
You
when
think
I
we
see,
could-
but once
it's
you
never gonna
crack
happen?
that open, you know,
I would not get through it.
No, I don't think any of us
No,
would.
but then then we'll be making more of this stuff, and I don't. I would only do that outside, not in our studio.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, it would stink forever. All right, that was the only fun thing I had. So
Someone said it's a new segment. Will it puke?
I'll join if you eat it. All right, Adrian. That's you're lying. You join first, and then we'll do it.
Remember the good old days when we
promise
actually
anything.
did Willet bread? Wasn't
Yeah,
that
we'll get back
awesome?
to
I
it.
know. Well, yeah, I'll make a bread.
Promises.
I'll-
Let's. Maybe
But we
I'm-
can't come up with derivative segments like Will It Pasta
No.
or
Well, yeah, all right.
do that. Or I don't know, what else?
What's another?
Those are the
Willet?
only two food groups, right?
Will it,
Bread and pasta.
bread, pasta, ice cream. Will it
Will
ice
it
cream?
ice cream?
Homemade ice cream.
I feel like actually we could do a Willet ice cream. That might.
I've
actually
had
work.
homemade ice cream. It was really nice.
Yeah, I have a blendy. You
How
have a
about
blendy?
homemade
They're pretty good.
candy? Melt chocolate and you just put cool stuff in it. Remember we used to do that?
Mm-hmm.
We'd take like cereal and melt the chocolate and put it in. It's actually pretty damn good.
All right, here's a little question before we get on to some other stuff. Have you guys
Will it
heard?
explode?
Will it explode? Oh, that's a good one.
All right, I'm 100% for that one.
Okay,
That's
a
going to
good
be us
choice.
outside though, with like a roving camera.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, because we have blow up stuff.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, we don't blow it up in your
Will
house.
it logic,
Have you
that's
guys
good.
heard of the new solar material they're suggesting up to 30+%?
No,
Anybody?
I have not.
Haven't heard over 30. What's it at now?
Wait, this is a solar panel, you mean?
That's what it's a
Yeah,
new
what is it?
material, I guess, that would be put into a solar panel of some sort.
I mean, we already have solar panels that are in the 40s. They're just super expensive, and only NASA uses them. So it's that
it
just saying
commercially
it's
available?
it's over 30%. I mean, that's nice.
Yeah.
But I got to know more things. How can it be mass produced? What's the cost going to be?
Yeah, exactly.
How long will it survive? Will it break down in a year? It's a lot of other features. That just one stat is not
Yeah,
enough.
apparently no lead in the stack is what they're saying. So I don't know. Send
That's
us a
cool.
story.
Yeah.
If you have a
Yeah.
story, send it in.
Send it to info.
info@theskepticsguide.org.
Steve Blackwell. Yo, Steve.
Oh, Steve's there.
Willet Pudding.
Blackie.
How's it going, buddy? How you surviving down there?
Down
Probably better
under.
than we are in the winter. It's
That's
probably
true.
better in Texas and Connecticut.
Yeah, but it's still. I'm
That's
not
pretty
gonna say
icy,
that.
isn't it?
Weather-wise, you're talking politics-wise. I'm talking
Yeah, that's a
weather-wise.
different. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Are we in the wrong timeline? Have you heard of the timeline shift that we supposedly have entered?
It happens all the time.
Yeah.
It does seem to happen maybe even every year.
Every
But
second Tuesday.
This one is specifically around 2016. And do you know what happened in 2016?
I do.
What happened?
Let me think.
Isn't this when Fauci went down to China and told them that they have to produce this virus to infect the world with? Wasn't that
I don't know if
2016?
he did that.
didn't happen?
Took him
Any
3
other
years.
possible ideas? You have any other?
Yeah, 2016. I had pizza.
You had pizza?
Yep.
What kind?
Pepe's.
Oh, okay. All right, let's just move on to the thing since we're done with this stroke.
Okay,
here's
well, what did happen? What's
well,
happening?
Here is the theory. Wait, hold on. Goddamn
Hello.
Instagram. Look, listen.
Listen, I have this theory that the Bears winning the Super Bowl might actually break us out of this batshit timeline that we've been living in. And I know that sounds unhinged, so buckle up because I've done the research. I've done the research. First, you rewind to 2016. It's the Cubs versus the Indians in the World Series. It's 2 cursed teams, and that's important. That's important. Chicago Cubs are trying to beat the curse of the Billy Goat, and Cleveland is trying to shake off the curse of Rocky Colavito. Curses die hard, so the series goes to Game 7, and midway through Game 7, there's a rain delay because the universe is fighting it so hard. It's curse versus curse. It's creating a paradox. The universe doesn't like paradoxes. Literally, neither team is supposed to win because they're cursed, right? The Cubs actually finally win. After 71 years of the curse of the Billy Goat, they win. The curse is broken. And that rips a hole in the fabric of space and time. Right back to the curse's inception in 1945, which was just a month after the end of World War II. And that's important because there's a lot of fascism hanging out in the air in 1945, right? And so we've just ripped a hole in the universe straight back to that period. The timeline splits, the Hellmouth opens, and we find ourselves living through the rise of fascism in the United States like it's the 1940s all over again. Fast forward to 2025. Pope Francis dies. College of Cardinals goes into conclave to elect a new pope. Conclaves are very secretive. Nobody outside of the cardinals truly knows what goes on in a conclave. It's kind of a what happens at conclave stays at conclave situation there. Well, I think the cardinals got together and they looked at each other and were like, what the fuck are we going to do about this shit? And so then they consult the secret archives at the Vatican. And they just did the math and came up with a solution. The theory goes like this. If Chicago opened the Hellmouth, then Chicago has to close it. So how do you do that? You bookend it with a second championship. The College of Cardinals does the most unexpected thing, the thing that none of the Vatican watchers even expected them to do. They elected a pope from Chicago. He happens to be like a noted fan of Chicago sports too. Ultimate signal booster. It's a Hail Mary pass, but they have the OG Hail Mary on their side. Suddenly, Chicago is a holy city. Now, the Vatican is known as the Holy See. Chicago is now the Holy See. And it was really too soon for the White Sox to pan out. Yo needed some onboarding. The team roster was already set for the year, but they still have time with the Chicago Bears. The Bears are on the table, and it's working because the Bears started winning, and then they were the division championship.
All right, we get it. It's
But
like 30 more
honestly,
seconds.
other than
comedy.
her persona,
Yeah.
it is not any different than any other batshit crazy stuff that's on TikTok. That
No.
some of which might be.
Well, this is on Instagram, so there
Yeah.
you go. How about that? I mean, I think she's being obviously facetious, or maybe not, but I think she's being goofy. Or not a po, but like just kind of playing into the idea of it. But it's not that far away from what you were saying. We have some videos.
Someone said the new solar panel material is
Kesterite.
Kesterite. You sure it's not perovskite? Is it a type of perovskite? Because perovskite's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But that does
coming out
have
of
a higher maximum efficiency than silicon does, but and it should get into the mid 30s. However, it breaks down too fast.
That's right.
And so we have to. They're still trying to figure out how to stabilize it, and they're making progress, but it's not up to 20 years.
Yeah, it's not up to 20 years.
Which is what we need.
Yeah, we need 20 years.
Yeah.
You know,
But what they
Don't we
need to
all?
do is sandwich it in between.
if they sandwich it, it works so much better. I know. I was just talking to
You have a
somebody about
combination of silicon and perovskite in
Right.
one silicon panel.
this. You
One
need
solar
to
panel.
combine them into the one single panel because if you
Yeah.
don't do that,
one panel to
It's a
rule them all.
perovskite competitor.
yeah,
yeah.
it's just competing with itself, and you can't deal with that. It's bullshit.
Classic Jay. Okay.
I'll look into it. We'll see if it's a playa or.
You know what's funny, Ian? Ever since I started to say that,
Yeah.
everybody like kind of picked up on it.
Everyone's saying it,
You know,
yeah.
because I have this.
Okay.
I have this response where it's like I try to sound like the dumbest person acknowledging something. Okay, like that, right? There's my dumb person. Steve started doing it, then Ian started doing it.
I refuse.
It's catchy. You say it in your
Bob
sleep.
has his own.
You say it in your inside voice.
But what's funny is, I say it when I see stupid stuff like this, like the real stupid stuff, not someone making
Yeah.
fun. I say it because it relieves a little tension for me. It's like and
Yeah.
then the stars, blah, blah, and you just go, okay, like that. You just kind of get past it.
Yeah.
Feels good.
The tension is thick.
All right,
Especially
so Ian,
today.
can I talk now, or
All
we're
right, I'm sorry. Yes. So, I mean, let's look at the other topics. What else?
Go ahead, we
That was
got-
the timeline. Yeah, the other things are like us going into TikTok. So feel free if you want to.
All right,
jump
so
around.
I talked to Ian earlier, and I told him I was thinking, we should address the atrocities that have been happening.
Really, what's going on there?
Yeah, so I'd like to start. Ian, do you have the picture of the guy wearing the Hitler coat?
Oh,
the
guy.
Bavoni or whatever.
yeah,
Bovino.
Bovino.
Bavino.
I don't like that he has his
But-
name
but-
ends in a vowel. That seems to suggest he's Italian.
I want
don't like that.
everyone to look at I'm
don't
dead
like
serious
that.
when I say this. Like I know it could if murder wasn't involved, it would be a lot funnier. But there is something almost like tongue in cheek about this. The guy who was in charge of ICE, right? And he doesn't even have a real title. He's like they gave him a title.
Czar.
No, it wasn't czar. It was just basically like his title like encompassed
Patrol
Go to-
chief, I believe.
Go to
is
Minneapolis and
actually.
scare shit, basically.
Yeah.
So anyway, he shows up with this coat.
And this
Zoom
is
in
a
on
side
that.
by side of like,
Yeah.
this is a Snopes article unraveling the claim about the Nazi uniform.
It
you
doesn't
know.
look
It's
exactly
not a
like
Nazi
it.
uniform. It's
Yeah.
just that's a certain style of coat.
Right.
But it's just ironic that he wears that coat in khaki green with the haircut.
He's
It's-
cosplaying. This
It's
guy.
I mean, they're all cosplaying.
Yeah,
That's
they
half
all
the thing. All of ICE is like, let's load down with military style gear and look tough and intimidating. This is all on purpose. I don't think, and this is by accident. The whole, Trump administration is trying to, to project this image of machismo and
Oh,
toughness.
alpha male.
Yeah,
What's
it is very deliberate. It's meant to. First of all, it's 100% fascist. By the way, that whole hyper militaristic projection of strength is one of the check boxes, but it's they're clearly that's what he's going for. That doesn't mean it is Nazi or it is whatever.
No, but
Yeah,
it's
just
just
here's some images of
It's the
actual
same
Nazi
vibe.
uniforms.
Yeah.
I mean, like here's a classic one, and I believe actually the Nazi uniform. Correct me if I'm wrong, Chet. It was modeled after the Massachusetts cops uniform.
I don't
Wasn't
know.
there- it's a
wasn't it? It
history
was
of the-
designed by a famous
Yeah,
designer.
It was, yeah, but I think there's
But I
like
don't-
some.
They had the
connection
best
there.
fashion in World War II.
I mean, it
I
is
have
hard.
to give them that.
Fascists do have a style thing,
But that was
obviously.
part of look
That's their.
the whole thing with the Nazis was memorable in part due to the clothing because it has become so iconic and it all was well
Those are
designed.
such awesome villains.
It
'cause they're
is, it's
dressed
great.
like villains. I mean, they are
But
dressed like
that's the
villains.
point. That's the
Yeah.
point, though, right?
Yeah.
I gotta
Literal
bring it back to
stormtroopers.
you can't. I always like to humanize like these
some other,
decisions that people make. He at some point picked that coat, and don't tell me that he didn't pick it because of exactly what we're talking about. Because
Yeah.
it looked
I mean,
like
this is more maybe similar.
yeah,
to
that is. He's wearing a double-breasted coat.
Similar, but I mean there are but still.
And how could you pick that? Like, it's not a mistake. You know what I'm saying?
Right, it's
That's-
a visual representation
yes.
of power of some
And the
sort.
fact that he rolled out with that, it's like you got to be kidding me. Like, what's next? What like?
Well, the thing that blows my mind is that that the White House is constantly sending out these memes, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And whenever
Manipulating photographs.
Yeah,
like,
well, yeah.
Like very.
Oh, I
That's
can
the
bring
part
that
he
up.
had the coat
Reprehensible.
custom made. Thank you. More proof.
so well, I would like to double check that, but that's interesting. if
Well,
that's true.
I believe
interesting
I believe everything.
Whenever they
everybody
use a Star Wars meme,
says. yeah,
they're the Sith,
yeah,
Right.
right? They portray themselves
Empire,
as
at
the
least.
dark side of the Force.
Oh, that's true. With the red lightsaber, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
always what happens? Yeah,
They
that's
want to
true.
be fucking Darth Vader.
yeah.
Yeah, like the Empire was right, kind of.
Yeah.
It's
Skull
like,
pins on their uniforms.
So
Sir?
there's so much to say. It's hard to even know where to start when we have to like kind of
But I'm gonna
analyze this thing.
There's some good news in all of
All right, go ahead.
I'm
You don't want to
skeptical.
start with the bad stuff and then
No, I want to start with the good news.
go ahead.
Okay, start with the good
Good news.
Good
everyone.
news.
All right.
everybody.
So I mean, it's it's always ironic good news when something so bad happens that there's a response to it that is good. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
So I think from
Right.
one perspective, what we're seeing is that there is a line, right? There's a line of because I think the Trump administration, they don't care about the truth. I think this is pretty well established. Trump himself, and now by extension his administration, they don't give a rat's ass about what is true, right? They
Right.
just project their narrative. They will make stuff up. They will say whatever they have to say.
Not just
And-
falsehoods, but inconsistency. Saying A first
Oh, yeah,
and then anti-A next.
They're
That's-
shameless hypocrites. No,
Which
and
we'll
they're
discuss here in a minute,
absolutely
yeah.
shameless. But and it's beyond a lie here or a lie there. They are gaslighting, right? They are trying to create an entire alternate reality, that fits their purposes.
Their narrative.
And now what we're seeing, and that's what they did with the two killings, Renee Good and Alex Preddy in Minnesota. That they just came out and said that she's a terrorist, he's a terrorist,
An assassin.
An would-be assassin. He was good. He was there to murder people.
Professional agitator.
Whatever. They came out with their narrative that was so blatantly and shamelessly at odds with the video evidence that no one is buying it. Like no one is
Yeah.
buying it.
Well, no, but people that
I mean, only
are
the
MAGA,
core of the core
yeah.
cult people are buying.
But
it.
but Steve, when you go
But-
on Facebook, like they're everywhere. Like I'm talking to people who buy it. A lot. There's a lot of people buying it.
Whatever. I mean, beyond that core, for example, pretty much all of the conservative commentators writing for major outlets are totally against the Trump administration in this. So I think this shows that there is a limit to how much you could lie right to people's faces
know.
and get away with it.
But
yeah, but unfortunately, that requires copious video documentation. If it's not there,
Of course.
they did what would have happened.
Of
It's
course.
obvious.
No,
But-
it's because we have the video evidence. But it also means that there is still some cachet to video evidence, right? That the AI has not totally destroyed the value.
Well, I mean, even Steve, even in the future, I mean, when you're talking about instant video from multiple
Yes.
angles, do you know how long it's going to take before that's even possible with AI?
I don't think
mean,
it's going to be that long.
not,
though.
well, I mean,
And
we're
undetectable?
not near it now. We're not
But
not near it
yeah.
now.
I mean, the
multiple
threshold's
people.
high, but there's something gratifying. It's like, okay, we crossed
Yes.
the line where
Right,
it's-
it is.
Yeah, obviously it's not every person. That's not what I really meant to imply. What I'm saying is that the net effect is that there's massive political pushback
Yeah.
against Trump
Oh,
and his people.
There's no doubt that this was we don't know if Trump specifically told Noam to tell Bovino to have the ICE act this way or not. It just seems to fit our narrative.
Oh, but we know
of
that
what's
they
going
have,
on.
and they were publicly saying you have immunity.
Carte blanche.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, but the point is, though, it certainly seems like these directives are coming from all the way up to the top. They're backing up everything that's happening.
Yeah.
They are calling people who clearly aren't terrorists like terrorists. We have a 30-something-year-old mother that just dropped her kids off at school, and a guy who is a nurse and was protecting someone in that moment.
So it's interesting that the Alex Preddy thing happening so soon after
Yeah.
Renee Good. So with Renee Good, if you listen to the Magosphere, like she was a lesbian, they go right for that.
Yeah.
Right? She's an agitator. She was a, whatever. And with Alex Preddy, though, it's like he was an ICU nurse working at a veterans hospital,
hospital.
and was a registered gun carrier. And like
That's problematic
It's
for the-
really hard to find the social angle. You know what I mean? To portray
did
him
it, though.
as
They did
the
it. They
enemy.
said the
Well,
same thing.
They just said generically he's a terrorist, whatever. But they didn't have the social angle to back it up like they did with Renee Good.
Yeah,
they
and-
could portray she is the enemy.
And when you
he
hear
really isn't.
when you
like the
hear what
face of the
Noam and
enemy.
Bovino said specifically, what they said, it was lie after lie after lie that is in complete contradiction
Yeah.
to the video. So when you have the people in charge saying he showed up with the intent to kill ICE agents, right? Like that type
Yeah,
of stuff.
and
Like
clearly it's not
like
true.
no, that's not what we see at all.
And
There's-
Noam said he was brandishing his weapon. He never
Yeah.
went
Yeah,
anywhere
that's
near it.
So let's get to some of these things. So we have a video, of Kristi Noem saying the terror.
Go
was a
for it.
domestic terrorist. There's a couple videos of also Bovino and yada yada.
Let's do
So
it.
let's just
Here we
listen to
go.
some of this stuff. So
When you perpetuate violence against a government because of ideological reasons and for reasons to resist and
Ideological?
perpetuate violence, that is the definition
Sorry, someone
of
on the
domestic
left side.
terrorism. This individual who came with weapons and ammunition to stop a law enforcement operation of federal law enforcement officers committed an act of domestic terrorism. That's the facts.
None of that is true. So first of all, he was just there to videotape it, right? He had his phone out, he was observing.
As an
He
observer,
wasn't
right, legal
protesting. He
observer.
wasn't getting in their face. He was not obstructing them. He didn't have weapons, right? He had a concealed carry a gun, which he has a license to legally carry, and right. And again, he wasn't brandishing it. He wasn't trying to kill anybody.
Well,
He
so
didn't
what's
do
the difference
anything
between
violent.
brandishing, too?
He didn't get physically involved until they pushed a woman down to the ground and pepper sprayed her.
But not only that,
him.
pushed her down. I read somewhere in traffic,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Whoa,
trying to help her.
trying to help, and also get
So
traffic around."
then they tackle him to the ground. They take his gun away and then shoot him after they
Right.
take the gun away.
I mean, they
How many
beat the shit out of him. Let's say it like it is. They beat the shit out of him. He, you
Broke-
see him trying to
broke
get up.
ribs.
There was like 5 or 6 guys on him physically, directly, and then they literally. I mean, if you have the image, Ian, they had him up in like the kneeling position like this with his head down, and a guy had a gun to his head, and they shot him.
there are also, so this is where the AI thing comes in, and I think it's important to look at because there are some AI photos where people are trying to use it for either side. So here's one. This is an AI photo that people claim is a gun in his hand, which is not, and you can kind of see his like fingers are all mushed up. This is altered. So there's a lot of reporting on this. This is not a gun, and also at the same time the gun was removed. If you look at the other side, so here's a fact check by Reuters, talking about this. But they're also saying this image is AI enhanced and somewhat altered.
What is that one?
So this is the one where you can see them pointing the gun at his head and like him having this in his hand. So there is an enhancement that goes on with some of these that like it was low res. So the AI, is trying to increase resolution, but it also leads to weird artifacts like this guy's head is like oddly missing or something. And then it added this into his hand, the gun into his hand.
Yeah, and the red bar wasn't there. That's definitely
that's a big one.
Yeah, but I mean, could you? What can be done? I mean, can you make that? Could there be ramifications for people that edit photos like this?
Sure, Bob.
I mean,
sure,
would think,
but you have to have a government and states that want to do it or have the resources to do it, and that's a problem. And then how do you find out who actually did it? It's so easy to be off. You can have one.
It's hard, but a couple. If a few people are caught, or even one or two people, and there's serious ramifications for doing such an edit, that people might be afraid or hesitant to do it in the future.
They should make a fine.
Ramifications
They should make a fine for anyone that posts an AI altered image, right? So like if it only costs you like $15, you'd still feel it. And you could still get, hey, it doesn't matter where this was created or who created it, but you pass it along. It's misinformation or it's disinformation.
Well, it's more that's more problematic because if it's a subtle change and you didn't even notice it and you didn't have any evil intent, then that's more problematic than finding the person who actually did the edit, which I know is extremely hard.
I think we're basically
but
screwed
doable.
because I think it's virtually unpoliceable.
You'd have to have a trial in some location, starting with an N and ending with Nuremberg or something.
So the
Numenor. How about a trial in Numenor?
The elephant in the room, I think, for all of this, and the cherry on top is Kyle Rittenhouse, right? So we go back to when? What year did that happen in?
It was BLM riots. So
yeah, so it was
quote unquote riots.
Was it 2012?
It was Kenosha unrest. Shooting. It was 2020, August 25th, 2020.
All right, so Kyle Rittenhouse shows up to a protest where police officers were.
Correct.
He had a semi-automatic rifle with ammo. He killed 2 people. He seriously injured a third person.
And he came there brandishing a gun, looking for trouble.
Then,
I mean, it's like the opposite end of the spectrum.
That was really brandishing.
Then Trump,
yeah, he was.
Trump and his administration. Trump's like, he's a good kid and all this, like literally saying these things about him after this, right? So it's like his response is like, this is a good kid, and they, then Kyle Patel was saying like, basically it's
Kash Patel.
Kash Patel. It was, he confirmed, and I saw him on an earlier podcast where he absolutely confirms his sentiment, which is you have every right to go to a protest with a gun like that and everything, completely backing up Kyle Rittenhouse. Okay, so now, of course, you fast forward to this situation. They're rebranding the whole thing as you can't bring a gun. And they're trying.
Well, their initial narrative collapsed with the video evidence.
Right.
So this was their This was their next thing. It's like, well, he brought a gun, so that's the thing that's the only thing they had to focus on.
Which is such a ridiculous thing for them to
say. So they
say,
completely separate from the Second Amendment and from everything they've ever said before about
you can't show up to a protest armed with
and
extra
people
ammo.
called them on that, and they're like, oh, people are calling us on our blatant hypocrisy. So the NRA didn't go along with it.
No way, man.
Kyle Rittenhouse didn't go along with it.
Yeah,
he
actually,
he tweeted it or whatever, a statement saying, no, you do have a right to bring a gun.
He said, yeah, carry everywhere. It is your right, shall not be infringed. I mean, so he's obviously a hardliner for the Second Amendment.
But at least, even if I disagree with true believers, at least I respect their dedication to an actual principle, as opposed to saying whatever shit serves you in the moment.
Right.
No matter how shamelessly hypocritical it is.
And when you see someone like Kyle Rittenhouse, like back up, like you said, Steve, whatever his morality and true belief is, and he's not going with whatever party line that there is. It's kind of shocking because you're like, oh my God, there are people out there that are legitimate. As much as I think what he did was horrific, it's still mud. It's still mud on the face of these politicians.
The other layer here, and we're just seeing another manifestation of it, is that whenever they talk about rights, the reality is that those rights only exist for them, not anyone that they perceive as being on the other side. We have Second Amendment rights, you don't. We have free speech rights, you don't, right? And We're just seeing one more manifestation of this.
Yeah,
of course.
Your rights go completely out the window
would argue,
the moment it's
So
inconvenient.
It's a reinforcement of white supremacy, in my opinion. You know,
This
kind of
is the hypocrisy is extraordinary. It's extraordinary because it shows you that they don't even give a shit about the things that they pretend that they support. You know, it's all the shell game. It's all whatever they think people will respond to. You know, they captured the Republican Party by saying all the things that Republicans really want to hear, and of course playing into people's silent beliefs of
racism, bigotry,
racism, and all that shit, right? Like it's
misogyny.
all of these hooks that they put into people, but they don't actually give a shit about those things. They don't. I would dare say that they don't want the populace to be armed because it's not. It doesn't play into what Trump's future plans are here, which I think are becoming more and more obvious as time goes by. So when you look at the 30,000-foot view, there was an incredible amount of just general violence and hurting people. Some woman was shot through the hand with like quote unquote
it's a feature,
non-violent-
not a bug.
Yeah.
And again, why are these people in Minnesota? Minnesota has a far below average percentage of the population
Right.
are
Yeah,
foreign-born or are undocumented or unprotected.
It's all
Right.
thuggery. It's
You're right.
thuggery.
They sent them there specifically for political purposes. First of all, they
Right.
mess with blue states
Yep.
because
and Walz called him weird. He called him weird.
and Waltz, his former opponent, in the last election,
Yep.
so that adds a little extra.
It's revenge
icing on the
politics,
cake.
and this is what it looks
It's all
like.
performative.
I've read people trying to defend these decisions of them going into when they go into Republican states, they just stay home and they don't interfere and they let them do whatever the hell they want. Give me a break. If this happened in Texas, I would like to think that Texas would explode over something like this that happened.
I wonder what would happen. Though,
Yeah, but
because
I just don't think that. I think the idea here is that people are going to tolerate these things, and we're going to bow to the thuggery and bow to the show of force. Look at what happened. The protest that they did there was extreme. It was huge response. It was huge.
in negative 50 degrees.
Yeah,
weather,
negative
which is
50
pretty-
degrees. Like, look, we're not going to put up with it. Why can't you just go and do good things for the people, right? Why does it have to be this shit? Just spend your time and energy and money doing good things
Well,
for
do you
our
think
country.
they bought their own mythology? Like they've fallen
No,
into their own idea that if we get rid of all these people, then somehow America
No, I don't.
comes back? Or
I
is it
do not.
just,
I think that Trump is enriching himself. I think that this is stroking his
by
fucked
some
up ego.
by some accounts, the Trump family has earned over $4 billion since he was elected.
Yes.
Since he came to office, and it's probably an underestimation.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
right
a
now,
lot of it from foreign governments currying favor with.
Yep.
of
with
course,
Trump.
you could pay the U.S. government to get what you
The
want.
grift is in the open and orders of magnitude greater than anything.
Can
we've
you
seen before.
imagine
It's
the-
the most grift we've ever seen anywhere in the history of the world.
can you
So
imagine
grifty.
what the reaction would have been?
Best grift ever.
Yeah. Back in when reality was happening,
Yeah.
real reality. Imagine what the reaction would have been.
Oh, imagine! Imagine what the Republicans, how they would have reacted
Obama
if
did
Biden did a tenth of what Trump is doing.
literally 100.
That gets back to
He
the
got-
shameless hypocrisy.
Yeah. I was.
Remember when he wore a tan suit?
Yeah, that was
on,
like
those days.
because they have to find something to be up in our politics is so stupid and dirty in the United States. It's freaking ridiculous. All right, let's throw some numbers around.
What?
So
Oh, okay.
41.
The goal of ICE
300.
supposedly the modern version of ICE was supposedly to get rid of the murderers and the rapists and
The worst of the worst.
right to get rid of the worst of the worst.
Which
So-
no one has a problem with, by
Murder-
the way.
murder,
Both
rape-
across the political spectrum.
they'll tell us
except for
that-
the fringes, but for
They'll claim that we're supporting. Of
course
that
not.
we don't. That we are in bed with rapists.
we
That's-
want rapists.
Yeah, we want rape and
roaming the
murder to
streets.
happen. Wrong.
Yeah.
So this trip on this, they haven't even gotten rid of that many immigrants. Like you think that.
Well, it is more than it. But most in previous administrations, I forget the number. There's like 10,000 deportations per month or
Right,
something.
right.
And it's up somewhat.
No, I
to
know, but it's not like an
13,000.
They're not really getting rid of all the illegal immigrants. That's not what we're seeing.
Yeah.
The numbers aren't even close.
At the current rate, it would take, I calculated, 30 years
okay.
to get rid of all the
So-
immigrants who are
Exactly.
unprotected, unauthorized
Right.
immigrants. which
Murder
is
rates and
about 8 million
murder
people.
and rape rates have not gone down. Zero. It hasn't changed at all. And on top of that, let's talk about the money that that just illegal immigrants bring into the country. So in 2022, illegal immigrants paid taxes. They paid state and local taxes, or state and federal taxes. They paid into Social Security. And in 2022, it was over $250 million of positive cash flow coming from these workers, coming from those people, right? 2025.
They're good for the economy. And
fantastic for the
the
economy.
numbers don't lie. I
They-
mean, it's really it is undeniable in the numbers. Of course, they will deny it.
But think about it. We're talking about over
Yeah.
over $250 million. And guess what? In
Wait, $250 million or
quarter of $1 trillion
billion.
in positive tax revenue.
Wow.
Which and again, they're paying into a system, our Social Security system, which they will never be the beneficiary of. They're just giving that money
they
away.
get less back in benefits.
Hold on,
than
let me
than they
finish.
pay
One
in
more
taxes.
stat. 2025, it's over $500 billion. That's the early estimates of what they're doing right now when they figure out how much money was collected. So this is clearly not as easy as we want to get rid of rapists and murderers. Because that is not what's happening. And you want to say, what's the net gain? Are we really gaining things? Well, local businesses that have been relying on these workers because they come in, they're desperate for work, they're accepting lower pay, right? So small local businesses take advantage of these opportunities when they happen, just like every other country does. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but that's what's happening. That's what is being done.
Well, it's like, when we all got addicted to Uber Eats and whatever, because we were way underpaying for the service that was actually being provided, right? And now they're actually charging us what it's worth. You're like, what the hell? This is a ripoff. But it's the same thing. It's like, you realize that the food is as cheap as it is because of cheap agricultural labor.
Right.
And if you want to send that all away, then be prepared to pay more for food.
Yep.
That's just the economics of it.
And don't forget, it's jobs that people don't want. It's these, because
To some extent.
to some extent, part of the angle here is that, if they're getting a lower salary, are they taking jobs away from people, which is a legitimate
it's bullshit.
concern.
No.
But some jobs people just don't want, and
course.
a lot of that has to do with agricultural jobs.
But
that
from
are
an
just
economic standpoint,
not easy.
If you remove everything and just look at it economically, it's a complete bust. It doesn't work. It's been horrible for the United States. Then look at Doge. I mean, this is a whole other topic that we could talk about for an hour.
Let's not get into that.
But Doge was supposed to, I can't remember the
It was a
exact
massively
numbers,
inefficient
But-
operation.
but they said that there are a lot of estimates that have been made were saying that Doge essentially broke even with what it cost and what was spent to do it. So there was no money savings. No one's going to get a check from the Doge savings. And number two, what Doge did with that $60+ billion, or it was $160 billion, I can't remember, but it is one of those two figures, is they gutted our government. So now we have a less present, less capable government. We've lost institutional knowledge.
10,000 PhDs I read yesterday.
Right.
10,000 PhDs gone.
And
from
there was
our
no
government.
economic gain. There isn't a recurring economic gain.
And,
someone
and don't
asked-
forget what Musk walked away with.
Yeah.
Databases of private information.
Oh, I
Is
know.
there
It
any
was a
doubt?
total failure.
Is there
It
any
was a
doubt that
complete failure.
happened? What's going to be done with that
Some-
information?
Someone asked, how do they pay federal income tax if they're not registered and everything? Because it gets deducted automatically from your pay stub.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, unless you're getting paid under the table, which obviously can happen. But if you are an unauthorized, undocumented immigrant and you have a job, they will deduct from wherever it goes. They will deduct it.
Yeah, that's a good point, Steve. He said Doge was about getting a hold of data too, which they did. And Elon Musk personally
said.
ended up with a ton of our data. And here's the other thing. You talk about data. Bondi told Walz, hey, if you give us your voter roll,
Yes.
we'll pull out of your state.
Oh, interesting.
Holy fuck!
Is that
You
what
gotta
they?
be kidding
That's
me.
what they really want.
So hey, we have their fucking arm, their head in the crook of their arm, like choking them fucking out, killing people, and they said, oh, we'll just pull everyone out if you give us your voter information. I wonder why the fuck they wanted that information.
Unrelated to anything about that.
You've gotta be shitting me.
That's
And-
the goal right there.
And so look, they're not hiding it anymore, guys.
They've never been
it's
hiding
completely
it.
No, but it is so unbelievably out in the open now.
Yeah.
And you still have 25-30% of people in this country, like if they're even getting that information, it doesn't register. It doesn't move their needle at all.
They're watching propaganda news 24/7.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah, I know this is
And
old
they think we're
information,
watching
too.
propaganda
I know, but
Right.
but I have to say this because this
But
is
we're
where I
right.
moved to. I'm trying so hard to not let the people who still support Trump to become dehumanized, you know. And I had a very good experience with someone on Facebook yesterday, you know, that supports MAGA, but you know, ended up being a very rational person. Like it's like literally, I think the very first time it's ever happened. I haven't even really, you know, I don't want to get into this conversation, but I will say this: I was somewhat snarky to this person and borderline mean to them in this like years of debating that we've happened and everything. And then I finally realized I was being a jerk. I didn't like, it was just with this one person too, but I really was being a jerk, and she was being a jerk back in response to me being a jerk. And I apologized to this person. I finally was like, you know, I don't want to be this way. I don't like the way we're interacting, and I'm at fault, and I took full blame for it. And I said, could we please just start over and like try to talk to each other nicely?
Like human
because
beings.
this person actually is a nice person.
Yeah.
And I looked at her Facebook page, and I'm like, she's not the asshole I thought she was, and I was
Yeah.
wrong, right? I succumbed.
You had internet balls.
Yeah, but I succumb to the hatred and the anger and all that, just like everybody else does. But I'm trying to, as corny as this sounds, I am trying to keep it real. I'm trying to engage my emotions and be a good person here, and not let it all be just anger based. But I want to try to be friendly. But that said, and I'm just saying this as a super generality, it's very hard to not see the people who are still supporting this nonsense as responsible.
They are responsible.
And we have to
you have a civic responsibility to be well informed enough that if you're going to cast a vote or blah, blah, or whatever, participate in our democracy,
Yeah.
that you have some information to back it up, right? That you're not a pawn of an authoritarian state. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If you're just going along with the propaganda, that's on you. You know, to some extent. To some
Absolutely.
extent.
Right.
But, you know,
it
someone
doesn't
said-
mean that the propagandists aren't to blame or the misinformation or all that. Of course it is. But you have the ability. That's the thing. So some people are asking, where was the good news? They might have missed it. The good news
It was at the
is
beginning.
Yeah.
that
10
you know
seconds.
there's a few layers to the good news. First of all, we talk a lot about social media and the addiction of phones and everything, but this technology gives the citizens the right to hold the government accountable
Yeah.
as well. Preddy was there, phone in his hand, just videotaping ICE. I mean, it led to something horrible, but in the bigger picture, this is all happening. We know what's happening because of private citizens with their phones.
But the power of of the people who
It's very
videotape
powerful.
that
That power is good news. There is
Right.
still power in truth. There is still power
Steve, they
in
buckled
being
because
an
of it.
eyewitness, and they did buckle.
buckled.
And it
because of
probably
it.
right.
Yeah.
It probably saved some lives, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we
That
definitely
is good news. The fact that there was
least
a
in-
line,
at least
and-
over the short term.
the truth still matters to some extent.
Pete
And-
Buttigieg said this, like, listen, as an individual, we all feel powerless, but the fact is we actually do have the dominant power
Yes.
as a collective. And when we
but
protest,
you got to get up off
and-
your ass and do
So
something.
these are things that we could do.
yes.
You can't
That was the
can't
good
go out
news.
and document when it happens. What's that?
No
I
more
said
news.
that was
That's
the
the good
good
news.
news.
Bye-bye.
when any of this nonsense happens near you, hey Mikey, when any of this nonsense happens near you, try to go out and videotape it. Don't get involved. Don't help the people they're beating on. I hate to say that because you might get murdered, but at least go out there and eyewitness it and videotape things on your phone. That's relatively. I don't even want to say it's safe, but it's something that we can do, and I would be
Yes.
willing to do that
Well, I think
myself.
the people of Minnesota are putting themselves at risk to protest ICE,
yeah.
and you can't fault them for that. I disagree with people who say never do anything to put yourself at risk. When this is happening in your country that you care about, putting yourself at risk is your patriotic duty to some extent. I'm not saying people should do that or whatever. I don't fault anybody for not putting themselves in harm's way, but I'm certainly not going to criticize people who are doing it
Right.
in order to protect democracy.
Yep.
Good for them.
And someone-
Preddy put himself in harm's way.
he did.
He paid with his life to protect our democracy. He's a freaking hero.
Yeah. Last words, Andy. Are you okay? I believe is what
Yeah.
his which is a very powerful message, maybe.
I can't remember where I read this, but someone from another country said, essentially, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically,
Someone from some other country.
this is effect. Come on, I can't, Steve. I'm
Close
on.
enough.
I could.
I
spend-
heard somewhere.
So I know it was
I
an
know.
individual that wasn't in the United States who was saying, "Listen, the shit is really hitting the fan in your country.
Yeah.
Get out and goddamn do something about it because it's affecting everybody in the whole world." And that was a checkbox went off in my head. I'm like, they're right. They're
course.
absolutely right.
I know. Somebody. I also was reading. I've been reading so much about this, but somebody was saying, You know when there are huge historical events in the past, and your kids, your grandkids want to know, what were you doing when the world was burning, and what's your answer going to be? It's like, oh, I was sitting around and doing nothing, or I was posting on TikTok or whatever. You want to be able to say, I marched on the whatever. You want to just say, like, where were you during the civil rights, protests in the 1960s? You were on TV,
in a crib,
watching TV or whatever. Yeah, we were too young. I'm just saying.
Get out in the street.
How many
Bob.
people? How many people on the stream here, Ian?
I don't.
6, 7.
6, 7. No, my God, he said the thing.
Today we live streamed to 6 or 7 people.
Yeah. Wait, Bob, we lost your mic.
No, but I mean, Bob, my activism.
Wait, we lost Bob's mic. I think it got unplugged.
Oh wait.
Did it get kicked out?
Hello.
All right, he's gonna fix
check that, Ian.
Test check.
Just unplug it, plug it back in.
Just reboot the computer.
Just reboot the.
Let's reboot the whole internet.
That would require me getting up.
I mean, unplug the XLR from the mic itself. I think it
our
just got
grandkids will
kicked.
ask what we did
No, I
to
think
stop
I think
this.
it was probably on the floor.
Oh.
Check. Anything?
So some people.
There's
somebody
another mic. Just give it
asked a
another
while ago about the PR podcast, the political reality
mic. Oh
podcast.
yeah, somebody did.
Episode number 4 is coming out today
Probably
or tomorrow.
today or tomorrow.
Today or tomorrow.
We're doing a quick. Just so you know, we recorded it yesterday. We're
Yeah,
doing a
and guess
quick
what it was
turnaround.
about?
Bob,
We
just follow
recorded an
this line
episode
from your mic down.
yesterday
Doug just
on
came unplugged.
immigration, and that's coming out today or tomorrow.
Yeah. So
We
did a
also
quick
did
turnaround.
another episode on fascism. That's coming out probably in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. I'm actually very
By
excited.
then,
about
everyone
this.
will have known about
I'm,
that. Sorry.
Ian and I we're all co-producers on this show, and we're constantly talking about content and everything. Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
It's Bob. Bob.
Wait, there's another mic over there somewhere. You could just give it to him, right?
I'm
Oh, hold on.
This one work?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it
one
works.
That one
Hello.
works. Hello.
So I'm excited
Hello.
about the podcast, not only because we've been
I'm
working.
so happy
on
my butt crack didn't show.
Yeah, I know, but meanwhile mine is like flaring out in the back over
Bye,
here. Bob.
Craggy.
All right, wait. I got a couple fun videos. Not fun, really, but just like funny. Like we could make a little meme out of it. I don't know if you saw this speech from Greg Bovino. Let's just do it really quick.
Bovino.
He says something, and maybe you'll notice how he says it.
Calling law enforcement names like Gestapo.
Yeah, Gestapo.
Okay, so Gestapo.
The Gestapo.
So that kind of reminded me of this scene, if you guys remember in Inglourious Basterds.
Yeah.
Where it's like kind of giving away maybe his.
Wait, did he do 3 like that? Did I?
No, he just said Gestapo. So a little too accurate maybe for that. It also made me think of this scene. I don't know. You guys like this movie, right?
Better than Gestapo.
You mean-
Gazpacho?
People could actually stay down there for 100 years?
It would not be difficult, mein Führer. Nuclear reactors could... I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Anyway.
Difficult, but I love that line. That movie is brilliant.
I know, it's brilliant.
Animals
It's
could be raised and slaughtered.
I love when he couldn't get his hand down. Oh my God, forget
All
it.
right.
It's
That
terrible.
movie is brilliant.
Okay, so
One more serious thing. Hold on. Before
Wait, wait.
What? Go.
The other thing I was going to say is
Oh, sorry.
that one of the other things that they're doing is spontaneously asking anyone on the street to prove their citizenship.
Oh yeah.
Right? Which what does that remind you
Oh,
of?
those. You have your papers.
Do you have your papers? I mean, it's the same freaking
I know,
thing.
I know. It's Steve, but this is what it's when you are sliding down the slope of fascism. These are the things that start to happen.
Yeah, I know.
And it's like what they have to ask because it's like but at some point it hits critical mass, and we are living in a fascist state.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like so, we should
It's
be.
a continuum. But
Wait! I just have to say this.
Yeah,
we
go
have to be angry about every one of these little
I
steps
agree.
that they take, and we can't be like, it's just this, or what am I going to do? Like, be pissed off about it. Like, complain about it at the very least.
what was I- because
You were gonna-
While you think of it, let me do
All right,
one
go
thing.
ahead.
Okay, so
Sorry,
we know
Steve.
the names of Renee Good and Alex Preddy.
Right.
Do you know the others
No.
The other
Okay.
people who were injured or killed.
in 2026?
Let's hear
Do
it.
you even know that they
I-
were
I know that there's 30 people or whatever that killed by so far.
from last year, but this year alone, 2026, 8 people have been killed.
8 people have been killed by ICE.
Specifically in what scenarios?
Specifically, so
All
Well, that
ICE?
reminds you what I was going to say. Like, why do these people even have guns? Right? They don't need guns to do their job.
Right.
Yeah,
It's paperwork
right,
enforcement.
It's not,
It should be.
Like, that's a good point, Steve.
They're so militarized; it is completely unnecessary.
Has anyone ever pulled a gun on them? Has there ever been a gunfight in all this?
And whatever the thing is, if that happens, you get the local police involved.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
Right.
They're just hunting down people who are undocumented. People who are here.
Right.
and getting them into the system. They arrest them and they send them in to be deported. There's nothing to do their job. In none of those situations where people got killed, did they need to have a gun?
I know. And, I know that most of you have heard this, but it's worth saying
People
again.
died in custody.
Yeah.
All the 2A freaks out there, Second Amendment freaks out there,
Okay.
right? Sorry, I know you didn't know what that was.
2A.
Ian just told me yesterday, and
2B,
I told him I'm
2C.
going to use it. I like it. 2A, right? So the whole point of them having guns, what's the point? What is the point to all these people having guns?
Well, at
depends
the
on
end
who
of the
you ask.
day,
Yeah,
the hardcore supporters of the Second Amendment say, well, we need to have guns to prevent our government from government tyranny.
So where
basically.
are these people?
Right?
Why isn't the red light going on? Holy shit, guys. I spent $5,000 on weapons and I have them in my basement and I've got more ammo than a small country.
But
when does that red light go on where they go, holy shit, it's happening?
Because it's that
When the Democrats are in power, that's when they'll come
right.
out.
I did when they came for the gypsies, I didn't say anything. When I came through
Yes.
the Jews, that was it Sinclair
Trade
Lewis?
unionists, yeah.
Yeah,
go
but
ahead.
but
Socialists.
they haven't come for them yet.
Yeah.
That's
Right.
why. Because they're so far they're focusing their attention on blue cities and on the woke mob
Yep.
and the lesbian liberals.
And you know
all those
what we're
people.
not doing right now, boys? We're not talking about the Epstein files.
That's right.
Because of all this
Oh, yeah,
fucking
that's right.
insanity. Yeah, and let's not forget about the Epstein files because we have Pam Bondi who could literally release them in probably 15 minutes. There's a law that she's breaking.
Yeah.
And we have a president who literally, of course, is it a coincidence? Or is this exactly what Trump wants?
By the way, there was a Democratic congressman, I think, maybe I forget who exactly was, but it was a Democratic political official who I think from Minnesota, who was saying, I've kind of mocked the Second Amendment defenders for my political career, and I want to apologize because they've always said we need to have the guns to protect ourselves from government tyranny, and now I'm seeing it happen in real time.
Yeah.
So it's funny how this issue has flip-flopped. It's like suddenly Democrats are like, yeah, I guess guns aren't such a bad idea.
It's all a snake eating
But
itself.
gun control is still a great idea.
Yeah.
but it
gun
does
safety.
But
Gun
it,
safety,
in one sentence, Steve, it confirms and destroys the whole premise.
Yeah.
Because we're not fighting. The people with the guns aren't fighting against the tyrannical government who's sliding us into fascism. As a matter of fact, they're supporting them. I'm more worried about those people turning their guns.
They've joined ICE.
Yeah.
These are the people who are joining ICE.
I wonder where they all are. They're
my
under
God.
their masks. Okay, well, here, let me show some things before we get off track. Here's a famous picture of a guy protesting Obamacare, the ACA, and he said, "It is time to water the tree of liberty," which is the Jefferson quote, with the blood of tyrants and patriots. So this guy is a right-winger, showing off firearms protesting Obamacare. So that's an interesting little historical artifact. I want to show also this. ICE deported a guy who was charged over the largest jewelry heist in U.S. history before he could face trial. So the guy got away with it, essentially.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I wonder where all that jewelry is.
I think
too.
he self-deported or he submitted himself to ICE and they sent him back.
Smart.
Whatever, which was like, good for you.
free ride back
Free
home,
ride
guys.
back. Okay, but the serious thing, we were jumped around. So there was Luis Gustavo Nunez Cáceres, probably, died in ICE custody. And there's a lot of, each of these are somewhat unique, like how he died, but there's lack of medical care. This one, I believe he also had medical care. He was in distress, and said that he died of suicide. However, there was signs of damaged vessels on his neck and injury to his knees and chest. People in the facility said that immigration were like standing on him, basically, knees on the neck. So,
well, look what they did to Preddy.
Yeah, I mean, these are all immigrants, so that's in part why you don't hear it as much as U.S. citizens.
Of course not.
Which because we have kind of a we
bias.
don't give a fuck about immigrants. Bias. This one, Parati La, his daughter. This was pretty heartbreaking. Said her father was a real person and people loved him, which is pretty horrible to have
it's a very
say.
insightful thing to say, actually.
Right, yeah, exactly. And then obviously Renee Good, Luis Beltran Yanez Cruz.
Ian, can I make a point while you're doing
this?
this?
Yeah, go ahead. And then Alex Brady was the most recent.
That was good, Ian.
Why couldn't all of this, like the goal here, right? The goal supposedly is to get the immigrants out, the illegal immigrants, and
bad,
but
worst
why
of the worst.
couldn't it all happen without violence?
It could.
But
And it did. Previous administrations
exactly.
did it.
Like the violence is
Again, like Obama and Biden, they deported 10,000 people a month who were the criminals.
The
they were
violence
already
is a
doing
feature,
it.
not a bug.
Yeah, a lot of
That's
them were
the
in
point.
prison, right?
That's the point. So
But
we
to
have
put a caveat on that, there were some problems with that too.
I know. I'm not saying
you
it was all
can't-
perfect.
It wasn't perfect, right?
But it
There
was
were-
not like it wasn't happening.
Right.
Yeah, but
they were prioritizing the criminals.
Sure.
So now Trump's saying we're going to prioritize the criminals. So you're going to do what people have been doing. Maybe do it better, more efficiently, more professionally. No,
he
they're
lied.
just unleashed the unprofessional, poorly trained thugs, to terrorize blue cities and states. That's what they're doing.
It's look, all those people
all those
that lost their lives to the acts of ISIS just in this year, right? Each one is equal to the other, right? I think it's important to say that, like whether
just
they're
'cause they're an
Americans or
immigrant,
not.
right.
Like these are people that were living in our country that have friends and family that have jobs that are paying taxes. They're just people. We're all people. Of course, we're
But Trump
focusing.
doesn't think that. He doesn't think this
No,
side.
I know he doesn't.
Are vermin.
but
you know,
but we have to all remind each other.
Does he? But to the point of like we were talking about fascism yesterday, does he even have a coherent view enough to even think they're vermin, or does he just so flippantly not care?
I mean,
is he just listening to
with
Stephen
Trump, I
Miller?
think the answer is usually he doesn't know, doesn't care. It's all about him. But he does, consistently evince real negative emotions, hatred even towards certain groups of people. He doesn't like people that he perceives as losers. Right. And that includes people who disagree with him. Or frustrate or oppose him in any way, or people who have handicaps,
or veterans. How about people going?
Or veterans? They're suckers and losers.
Oh yeah, I like guys not captured. Wasn't that his?
Yeah,
famous
I
quote
like
about-
people who weren't captured.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
anyone he perceives as weak or losers because that compensates for his own.
But the
insecurities.
The hints to Nazism is here. Like one of ours, all of yours. Like
Yeah, I
that
mean,
sentiment.
it's not a direct quote. I mean, that's kind of that was one of those myths, but it is. The sentiment is again, it's we're tough, you're weak.
But why
you
even
mess
put
with
that?
us?
Why
we're
even
gonna-
put that there? I know it's all posturing.
It's all posturing. It's meant to intimidate.
So actually, yeah, here's a good one, which I don't know you guys familiar with this particular dog whistle, but Which Way American Man? I don't know if you're familiar with the book, which is a neo-Nazi book, Which Way Western Man. So like they're playing into the dog whistles, obviously, like very aggressively, and they use a lot of this like white supremacist language. And this is DHS like posting this shit. It's fucking, I mean, it's insane.
All right, I think we beat
Anyway,
this dead
yeah,
horse. Let's shift into some pseudoscience.
Yeah, no more horse. Wait, where did I go? Pseudoscience. Let's get there. So let us see. What is this?
What,
It's a
anti-gravity? What's
simulation. You want to do anti-gravity or
Oh, no, simulation. We can start with the simulation.
Simulation. Bob likes the simulation.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah. Which one was it? This way? Yeah, we're living inside a computer. All right. And if you want to hear more political takes, go to politicalrealitypodcast.com. There is an audio feed. If you're missing it, it is on the website. It's also on Apple and Spotify and most of the apps. If you don't see it on your app, let me know and I'll try to force the submission. YouTube has the videos. Patreon has also all the videos. And in the future, we'll have all the videos as well because we'll do on off between public and behind the paywall. And that's that. Okay. Thank you so much. All right, let's listen to.
How much of this video are we going to watch? This is very long.
It is just a few seconds.
Just enough.
Just the very beginning.
1 second. Bloop.
Understand what makes a computer or a clock
Turn it up.
be able to tell the time, know the exact time. I know it starts off with a quartz crystal, some watches sapphires, but what property makes the clock actually be able to connect with this reality? How do they program that? I'm literally about to learn how to build a computer. I'm going to buy computer building book for dummies and I'm going to teach myself how to build a computer because I need to understand this because I think we live inside of a computer. Computer. How? This is a world. There's a world inside of this screen. There's literally an entire world. Here's my birth chart.
Here's my birthright. All right. Well, that's probably enough to get.
So
through.
it's hard to know. I get the feeling that she has some basic fundamental misconceptions about reality.
Right, and does not know how to use Google, apparently.
Yeah, and does not know how to use Google.
Apparently.
So, like, if she's saying that the computer is sort of sensing the objective passage of time in reality in some way, as opposed to just internally measuring
I
the
can't
passage
even,
of
Steve.
time.
I can't fathom like where her confusion is. Like, I think she's going metaphysical with what
Yeah,
the
I
crystal
don't-
is doing. You know,
There's some. I mean, it would be fascinating to try to dig down to what her major malfunction
Right.
is.
I know, Steve. I mean, I have a weird idea here. This is crazy,
Yeah.
right? I don't know. You could like go into a browser, and you can type in
browser?
how does a crystal help a computer know what time
I
it is,
know.
or anything like that. Oh, even better. You could ask ChatGPT. You could
Yeah,
go to
yeah.
go to an AI and ask to get.
I know
clarification
that's
on
true of
this.
every single video we're going to talk about. It's like this could have been solved in 5 minutes on Google.
But why
Right.
isn't
Absolutely.
that happening? Because
People are intellectually
Because they
lazy.
think they're having these epiphanies and profound thoughts that need to be out there in
Well, but
internet
also,
space.
isn't it the second order thing you were talking about on misinformation? It's the second. We don't even trust true information anymore.
because they don't trust their own Google
They
skills.
don't, yeah, I mean that. I don't know.
So
That's
just for the
what-
record, computers do have quartz crystals in them. That's one of the 3 ways that computers tell time, and it's basically the quartz, is a piezoelectric effect that vibrates at a certain frequency, and you can use that as a standard metric of time, right? That vibration, anything that vibrates, a pendulum is you tell time by how
Yep.
long it takes to go through its swing. This is basically a really small, really fast pendulum, conceptually, and so that's how it tracks time. Computers need those to coordinate all of its internal operations, but computers can also use software, basically tracking the clock speed of the computer itself as another way of measuring time. And when it tells you like the time, like it's now 2:30 and whatever, it's also synchronizing with external atomic clocks, right, over the internet. So those are the 3 ways it gets time information.
And she's mystified by clocks, and she wants to build a computer. It's just like
yeah, but did you guys get the sense that she thinks that like she's going to end up buying a quartz crystal, and like I got to insert this into the temporal readout that goes into the case of a computer? Again,
I wouldn't be surprised, but maybe
I'm sure whatever her concept is so divorced from reality, like it would be hard to figure out. But yeah, I mean, it's like obviously just embedded in the motherboard. You don't even have to know about it.
For some reason, I don't think that's where she's going with it, where she thinks this is what this all means.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, there's something cool about the fact that it is a crystal that's like vibrating.
Yeah.
And that's time. Like that's so
Yeah,
awesome.
the technology is awesome.
It's awesome.
But
like,
Ian, to be fair,
don't be fair.
if having a little piece of poop in there that had electricity going through it, if that gave us a frequency that we could rate time by, they'd use that too.
that's true.
Like, the fact that it's a crystal, whatever. But
Shitty clock.
But the point that like she thinks there is something mysterious going on. Like how is the computer connecting to external reality? And then she goes from all of this to we're living in a computer.
Right,
Because
right.
look at it's so
the
obvious.
world's-
There's a simulation of reality in the computer. Therefore, we're a simulation.
Right,
of
because
reality.
the worlds in the computer are basically run by the quartz crystals, and there's quartz crystals in my backyard.
Quartz
So
crystals,
therefore, this is what she says later on, and therefore,
Yeah.
that to her, that's a big stepping stone and epiphany to the whole world
you know
is
what
a
would blow her
simulation.
mind, Bob? You know what would totally blow her mind?
Very simple
Your
things.
brain is running a simulation of reality for you.
That's right.
There's 8 billion.
Yeah, you want to
simulations.
really blow your mind?
Yeah.
Let's give you some actual reality.
All right. Well, that's a fun little one. I mean, people are trying to learn. Hopefully, they will do a Google search, but I guess they get more clicks if they just post their own.
Yeah, didn't she say the black hole, Bob? Is that the one?
Yeah,
that we're not living in a black.
We're not living in a black hole, so it must be a simulation. Those are the only 2 choices. Clearly, those are the only 2
she
choices.
mentions the fact this theory that we're existing within a black hole as like that's what everyone believes, but no, it's not that. It's the simulation.
Right.
Like, wait a second, these are 2 bits of pseudoscience craziness.
It's like
That's
she's
not a good-
reading like a pseudoscientific Mad Lib. Black hole could have been like 50 other things
All
that
right.
could have been on there.
This is what I seriously think.
Go ahead, Steve.
And that, I do think that in any given area of knowledge, there's a certain critical threshold of knowledge where you kind of get it. You know what I mean? Like you have the pieces start fitting together and you have some basic
Absolutely.
internal understanding of what's going on.
And they're not there.
and they're not there. That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And so they have these disconnected pieces of information they're trying to make sense of, but they can't see the big picture or put it all together. And so it is mysterious to them. And I've lived long enough now, like you guys have, where studying medicine, I got to this point, whatever, studying different scientific disciplines where
Physics, astronomy.
you cross over this threshold from having disconnected information to,
Yeah.
I kind of see how this all works
But
together
Steve,
now.
there was no point in time where you got on a YouTube, you recorded a YouTube video for the world to see, where you're like, early medical school, going, because I don't know how bones actually got into this corpse,
It's
then
magic.
it's got to be, a black hole.
People go off the rails because they don't understand this meta wisdom, like this idea of knowledge itself. They don't know how ignorant they are, because they've probably never crossed that threshold with anything.
But why?
Right?
How could you have a computer right there and go and not have it occur to you if she's not a Poe, which I don't think
But
she is.
I'm sure you've had this experience.
Yeah.
This is not as fundamental as this, but I've spoken to people because we all lived through DOS and before Windows and really simply the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of have a basic idea, probably more than a basic idea, of how computers work and the different components and how they fit together. But there are people in our lives who don't have that even basic understanding.
Yeah,
like they don't know what a hard drive is versus the processor. They don't know, like they don't have a basic understanding of the different computer components and what they're doing and how they work together. And so they can't even begin to think, like troubleshooting something wrong with the computer.
Yeah.
Forget about
it.
They don't have the basics yet.
Well, it's also so small now. Everything is in
Right.
micro, so
Or
you can't replace it.
to use none of us are car jockeys, right? Mm-hmm. So it will be like us trying to just troubleshoot something going wrong with an old a car engine. We have no freaking idea
I
either.
would never even
we can't even
Makes
begin to think about
very-
it.
Very basic. Very
I
basic,
would never start talking about.
But we're not saying the carburetor's magic, because how does this happen?
Right.
We acknowledge our ignorance of car mechanics. Like we
Right.
would never presume to have an opinion.
The world is a
especially-
catalytic converter.
Yeah, the world. Right, but it is like saying,
Punch
like,
cards, man.
why can't you run the car on water? I think I'll make a video about running the car on water. It's like, you at least understand the basics of something, or, again, this is the Dunning-Kruger thing of try to have some sense of your own freaking ignorance.
Yeah, and what happened to her education? Did she really never? If she's a teenager, she never had
I don't think
a
she's
science
teenager.
class where they just talked about the basics of what a computer is or how these things work, or how does this information?
Well,
not-
I don't.
I'm
Do
damning
they? I
about
mean,
it,
can
yeah.
you get through high school without knowing the first thing about computers?
I don't know. Today, you would think no, right? I mean, when I was in high school,
Who knows what her
of course.
upbringing was? It could have been sheltered enough where she's just coming out into
Well,
the world of the internet.
Remember
in the
how they
past
had
5
like
or
a
6
home
years.
economics class, like we used to have
Yeah,
that like in
yeah.
elementary
Yeah.
school? There should be like how your fucking world works class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like just the basic nuts and bolts of the world you're fucking living in.
Yeah, and the teacher should be angry when she.
That would require funding.
What of you lazy fucks even know what a computer is? All right.
But I teach,
We got Steve to say the F word. We can move on.
but I do teach my kids this stuff. Like
Trifecta of Fs.
when I built my last computer, I just, hey, come take a look. I want to at least show you the components, and I'm initiating
on your
thinking.
kids.
Yeah.
I when I built my last computer, I had Autumn help
Yeah.
me do it.
My daughter was learning about this Earth and its axis and the rotation
Yeah.
around the sun and all these different things.
And how we landed on the moon.
Yeah, and like, and
No, we didn't.
but what my wife and I do is, we try to turn it into something that's more fun and more of a story.
Yeah.
Than just a list of facts that the teachers
Yeah,
give.
yeah.
I have no idea. Again, this is the same science teacher, right? So I don't
Yeah.
know. I have no idea like how well the instruction was or how truthful any of it was. But as soon as it's gamified and storyfied,
Got it. Totally.
they love it. It's interesting.
And age appropriate. Like when for both of my daughters, when they were like 5 or 6, or something around that age, used to have a swing set in the back with a house, like a little
Yeah.
house. So I would take them in there, and this was a rocket ship, right? So we'd pretend like we're walking on.
Oh, cool.
Going to a rocket, so we'd climb the ladder into the rocket ship, and then I would take them on a journey through the solar system.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're going to go to the first planet from the sun, Mercury, then we land on it, and I describe what it was like. Then we take off and go to the second planet. And I did that for every planet in the solar system. Rather than saying, all right, we're going to learn the planets of the solar system, I took them on an adventure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so totally. I highly recommend.
A fun idea.
Yeah, you say gamifying, storifying, basic information like that.
My daughter
That's the other area of knowledge, by the way, that blows my mind, how some people have no concept what the structure of the universe is.
Yeah.
They don't know the difference between a solar system, a galaxy, the universe. It's just all jumbled together. They have no idea. It's just space out there. They have no idea.
Yeah, but not only that, it's not the fact that they have no idea. It's that they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't have any initiative to even have a basic understanding. Who was that guy that news guy? It was like, is the moon a planet or a
my
star?
God,
I mean, it was
yes.
just like,
But guys,
it was
you
the
know,
level
Like,
of
honey, it's a star.
It's easy for us to say that, and I'm with you, Bob. You know, but we are nerds. You know, and nerds.
But you shouldn't have to be a nerd to know the basic structure
I
of
don't
the world
disagree.
you
I
live
don't
in.
disagree, Steve. I totally don't disagree.
Yeah.
So my daughter couldn't remember the Earth is tilted on its axis by how many degrees? She couldn't remember it. So literally at the bus stop with her this morning, sitting in the car and like reviewing her test again at the last minute. The bus will be here any minute. All right, let's go down through a few of these. She couldn't remember it. So I did something very simple. I just turned it into a dorky song.
Yeah.
So I made her laugh at me.
mnemonic, man.
You know? And I was like, 23.5. Yeah, 23. I just did that. She caught on immediately. She got into the vibe. I was singing it with her. And I guarantee you she'll have that on the test.
I
got
to know what happens.
Yeah.
Mnemonics are powerful,
I have a
man.
video. You want to see? I can't do this. But I did take a video of her this morning with me in the
Singing
car.
the 23.5.
Yeah.
Let me know how it turned out, though. Did it help?
Yeah, that's like, conjunction, junction, what's your function? That's all of those. We still remember them.
Yeah, when I was,
I'm just a bill.
She was mixing up rotation and
revolution.
right?
Which adults do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man.
So I just physically showed her the difference.
Yeah.
You know, I got it in the living room and I made, I spun in a circle and then I walked around in a circle. You know, like the visuals help.
Yeah,
you know, anyway.
absolutely.
Anyway, meanwhile, our world is falling apart. But hello.
But your daughter knows that the Earth is
Yes.
23.5 degrees on its axis.
Yeah.
which
Here,
is
let's look
critical.
at this thing.
23.5.
Since Bob mentioned it, here's this little thing. I think this is.
Love that color. That's such a happy, beautiful, rich
It almost kind of looks like what the Earth looks like when you're a bazillion miles away from the planet Moon.
Yes, I
The
just
planet
squinted
moon,
at it.
From
and you're
the
right.
moon, looking back at the
planet
Earth.
Moon. From the planet
Isn't the moon a star?
No, the moon is the planet, darling.
The sun is a star. Is the moon really a planet?
The moon is a planet.
Don't look at me like that. The sun is a star.
Planet.
Is the sun not a star?
I don't know what the sun is.
The sun is a star,
We don't know what
isn't
the
it?
sun is.
The sun is a star.
What
The moon is not a planet.
moon
I
is
knew
a
it.
planet.
I knew it. You were
Excuse
trying
me?
to take me
No.
down that road.
Wait,
the moon is not a
excuse
planet.
Me, Chunky, if you're listening to
This
me,
is
you have to
Rosebud.
Google the moon.
Someone, I
okay?
can guarantee you someone's Googling right now.
The moon
I
is
knew it was
such a
not a
planet.
planet.
I can't
The moon
stand
is
it.
not a planet.
What else is it if it's not a
It
planet?
is not. I believe it's a star or something.
It's
it is
a
not
moon. It's a moon.
Didn't you do that thing in grade school where you had to name the
moon
planets
is a
and there
moon.
was Uranus and there was Saturn and the
yeah.
one with the rings and and then the Earth and the moon is never in there, dude. It's not a planet. All right, here, look. This is key lime.
I don't know.
I
I don't
feel
know
like
what it is
sometimes,
besides. What is
though
it?
I am
Baseball or
educated, I
something?
exposed
What is
during
it?
the
Cheese?
show.
Come on, it's a
That
planet.
is
Dredge up the
Blonde
word
of mine
asteroid. It would
could
be
be
better
real.
than
Okay.
star. You
the
know?
moon is what?
It's a satellite.
A natural
moon is a
satellite.
natural
but things
satellite.
live on it.
What's
that means
that
it's a
mean?
planet.
Some
Things
person.
What
live
is that?
on it,
That
he said.
I don't know what
No,
it
I don't
is.
like that at all. I don't even know what that
I
means.
think it's a planet. I don't
Is that
know.
what Google?
It's a
The moon is
satellite.
what?
Here, he says things live on it.
A natural
moon is a
satellite.
natural
but
satellite.
things live on it.
What's
that
that
means it's a
mean?
planet. I don't
Is that
know.
what Google?
Holy Christ!
That's a
I
classic.
mean-
I love that one so
Wait,
much.
so tell me more. What was this from?
It's CVS. Not CVS.
QVC?
QVC. Sorry.
All right, so these two people are selling clothes on there, and like these instant
love how it just kept going.
reveal of their. It's not
keep
just one
going.
of them. It's not just one of them. It's literally like one idiot standing next.
It's the blind leading the
Oh my
blind.
God! Oh my God!
I mean, it's
How?
not.
It's like they've never thought about it
But
before.
but the fact
they've
is,
never
like,
thought. They just had these whatever
just rando words.
Yeah,
hitting
rando
them.
words.
Yeah, and we know people have things happening in their life. They got rent. They got to buy food. These are important things that you need to focus on, and maybe they're focusing on them. Probably, I don't know. And you don't need to think about what's going on beyond the Earth, but not
being
having
very charitable,
but
Bob.
not I am being very charitable, but not having that interest for the most superficial of understanding
Right.
is mind-boggling to me. I'll never understand it. You know, you don't have to get into it in depth like
her
we
reaction,
do.
her reaction to somebody telling her it's a natural satellite. You might as well have told her words that she never heard before. you
Yeah.
know?
What is
what?
that? A
What?
natural what now? What's going on here?
And my response is okay.
Okay. I once had an adult say in my presence that a rhinoceros is a dinosaur. And it's again another one of those things where it's like,
Oh, God.
you have no clue what's going on, dude. Like this, the
That is-
world's a mystery
You're
to
so
you.
you're so wrong.
But they have way more knowledge in other areas than I
Yeah.
do too. You know.
Yeah. And look at Steve Blackwell. That's not a moon, it's a space station. If one of them said that, I would have just laughed my ass off, and that would have been the end of
Oh,
it.
it would have been worth
Moon?
it. Yeah.
But they didn't even know that the moon is a moon.
Is a moon.
I mean,
And somebody, Creek Racer goes, "Good job, American education system."
I
Like,
mean,
hello,
truly.
seriously,
Truly.
like.
Here's a great quote. Somebody said, "I didn't even think Americans had a school system until I heard about all the shootings." That's how he knew that we
That's
had
too,
schools.
Too accurate, unfortunately.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at what else we got on the topic list. Should probably get to the TikTok soon. Don't trust your eyes. I mean, that was basically the Renee Good.
let's
like
go over it all again. I think we need to do a
I
second
feel like
bite
I
of
need
that
to go
apple.
take a
Please.
bath.
I know.
God damn.
So we do have some of the TikToks that we were going to do, but there were some that we were thinking maybe we would do as a discussion, but we could say we're going to do this maybe for the
I'm doing
TikTok.
that one.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
We'll save that one. Stand by for that one. We're going
I'm
to
doing
do
that
this
one.
one too. The hidden history of anti-gravity.
We can
Yeah,
do that one.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
do that one.
Okay, and then this is another dickhead, and then that was
They're
the
all
traffic.
dickheads.
Yeah, they're all dickheads. All right, let's do this. So there's
They're
some
all this
history
fucking
about
guys.
this guy, which I'll reveal a little bit in a later. But
Okay.
let's watch what he has to say first. He's on Rogan here. He's also had Rogan on his show. And
Okay.
Tree that involves anti-gravity? Absolutely. I can trace it all the way back to this guy named Thomas Townsend Brown. I think they had an effect called the Byfield-Brown effect that showed that you could couple electromagnetism and gravity at a base level, and you could do it in a vacuum. You take a capacitor, right? And so a capacitor is a positive electrode and a negative electrode. The negative electrode is bigger than the positive capacitor. In between the two is an insulator called the high K dielectric. So it's a material that stores a lot of electromagnetic charge. You pump the entire
just
thing
doesn't know
with
what he's
high
talking about.
voltage and low current
That part's accurate
electricity,
so far.
and you see
Well, I
thrust
don't think
going
the
from
insulator
the
stores the electricity.
But this is the key right here, though. What he's saying right
Capacitors
here.
store electricity.
Yeah, the capacitor. You need the anyway.
Listen to what he said.
negative to the positive. If you do this in a depressurized vacuum chamber where there basically is no air to create this kind of equal and opposite force for the thrust, then you are breaking physics as we know it. But it's an effect that I think creates this tech tree of exotic electromagnetic propulsion that leads us to today. And it's an effect that's not supposed to happen. Is there a tech tree that involves
All right, so
All right, go ahead.
all right, so the one thing he kind of had right here was this idea that if you apply a high voltage to the electrode of an asymmetric capacitor, all right, there is a thrust from the large capacitor, from the large one to the small one. That thrust, he's saying is a propulsion that's kind of hacking gravity. It's kind of like manipulating gravity. If you look at Thomas Brown, the research he did, he called it electrogravitics. But that's not what's happening here. Obviously, that's not what's happening. This is absolutely well known. That thrust that's being created is called a corona wind or an ionic wind. So what's happening is you have an electrical discharge that's ionizing the atmosphere, and those ions go from one electrode to the other, and that is creating a very extremely tiny thrust.
We've done this on the Van de Graaff machine.
Yeah, there you go. So, but the thing is, it doesn't work in. They did tests on this. It doesn't work in space in a vacuum. It does not work. It's not. So it's not manipulating gravity in any way. This is part of the electro electrohydrodynamic propulsion, right?
Yeah.
And do you have an ionizer, an air ionizer in your house?
Right.
That's using this effect, but it's not for propulsion. It's not manipulating gravity. This poor schmuck, clearly just looked at totally non-science treatments of this, and he just didn't go to anything that was.
now
sometimes I think
gravity.
that people
it's just
read
so pathetic.
People read like what scientists did 100 years ago and think, well, that was correct because this scientist from 100 years ago did it, and they don't look at any of the subsequent science showing that no, he was wrong about this. And
They
that.
actually did research, solid research,
Yeah.
to see if electromagnetism can impact gravity or inertia. They probably spent some decent money
That
on it.
would have been great
And-
if it
yeah,
did,
but it didn't.
it
They
didn't.
concluded it didn't.
Right.
They did test and vacuum.
So that's the
There's
thing.
nothing there. It's not messing with gravity. It's
So-
a corona wind.
They missed that part, right? The subsequent science, and then say, well, why isn't NASA zipping around the solar system today using this electrogravitic propulsion?
Yeah.
And they, well, there must be a conspiracy.
Of course.
Right? So then they leap to the conspiracy to back up
Right.
their misunderstanding of science.
Yeah. And
Well-
did you see that thing that was floating in the air?
Yeah.
I mean, do you see how light that
Yeah,
thing was?
right.
It's minuscule
It's
thrust.
minuscule.
A flea could bench press it 100 times. It's so it's so tiny. You're not going to get anything that's crude or
Right.
anything that's heavy. It's a
Well, that's-
minor thrust in atmosphere.
If
so
you take a needle and touch it to a Van der Graaf head, the ball on
Yeah.
top, if you take a needle and do that, it'll actually do this. And you can hold a piece of paper and you can see it pushing the paper, right?
yeah, it's
pretty cool.
It's clearly
So,
it's so
okay.
frustrating when there's like no research.
But this is what Joe
2
Rogan
minutes.
does, Bob. He doesn't know anything about the people he can't refute any of this.
But he sees the guys coming on. He's going to talk about this. It'd be nice if he just did a little bit of He's clearly not doing any research at all on a lot of the stuff that he talks about, right? I mean, I read about this in 1 minute after seeing this video. You can get all the
Right.
details immediately.
Someone goes, the real question, it's Grimbeard. The real question is, fucking magnets, how do they work?
Yeah.
I'm not trying
Nobody
to learn from
knows.
a scientist. Do you know that song? Anyway, that's an ICP song.
Oh, God.
Anybody an Insane Clown Posse fan? Anyway.
Ouch with all this. God
sorry.
damn, people.
And there's some history with this guy. He is apparently a principal stakeholder in Peter Thiel's, a couple Peter Thiel's capital investment things. So he's getting kind of boosted by this billionaire who's trying to push kind of a whatever. I mean, you know,
What?
just misinformation campaign, I guess, is what his whole.
Is he going to
shtick
build a
is.
electrogravitic spaceship or something?
I mean,
to
that's
compete
what
with Musk?
Yeah, that's
Go
what
ahead.
people are
Dump
saying.
all your billions
Yeah,
into
that would be
electrogravitic.
nice.
You know, according
propulsion.
to Steve-
See how that works out for you.
But that's how he gets on Rogan. In other words,
Yeah.
like this guy, you know what I mean? Because he's got connections.
Ian,
Anyway, go ahead.
Ian,
Yeah, hold
scroll
on,
it up
Bob.
a couple. Scroll it up a couple.
Scroll it up.
Ian.
What? Oh, sorry.
According to Steve,
Up.
if you filled a rocket up with beetles, they could bench press so
Okay.
much they can
I'm good.
push the rocket through space. You know, right, Steve?
Oh,
and I,
yeah.
we disagree with this.
They got to use click beetles for that.
Click
Quick
beetles.
Beatles. Oh.
Would it
beetles.
hurt to get punched by that shrimp that can punch?
Oh, yeah.
The mantis shrimp? Yeah, I think
mantis
it'll
shrimp?
take your thumb off. Or
It could do something that
Could
bad.
crack glass in
culture,
a
hello.
tank. So yeah, you'd be feeling
Go
that.
deaf.
There's just no way a beetle can lift over 90 pounds.
Yeah.
That's it. No
all
way.
right. All right. Jay said so.
All right, so let's see. What other one do we have? We have this silly. I don't know if you guys even watched this one. You might have avoided it to try to save your own sanity after the other things. But here's a.
Oh,
little-
yeah. This is a good quickie one.
All right,
Then
do a
maybe we'll do
quickie.
this and we'll do the.
Oh wait, I didn't see this one. What's
Yeah, here's a new one.
this many people are not?
This many people are not headed in the same direction.
What? What do you mean?
Did you know the government hires drivers to make rush hour more stressful so that when you get home to with your family, you're pissed off, tired, stressed, and less likely to overthrow the government?
Wow.
So,
So the thing is,
Wow.
No.
there's a thing.
No.
There's a
The thing is,
It's a stupid thing. Whatever.
it's a stupid.
It is.
That people mostly believe whatever they hear unless it contradicts something they already believe, right? So this is most people. They would hear something like that from somebody or from somewhere and
I
believe
hate most
it.
people.
The difference now is a couple of things. One is we don't have to just believe it or not believe it. We could look it the fuck up, right?
Yeah.
You could also think about it, think if it makes any sense, God forbid. But the other difference is that now people, rather than just believing it, they make a TikTok video about it
Yeah.
and share their ignorance with the entire world. But again, this is obviously one of the things that we're trying to educate people about. When you hear something like that, first of all, you're going to hear a lot of shit that's not true. Don't believe everything you hear. and just think about it for 2 minutes.
It would be less
We got a Poe
expensive.
vote.
It would be less expensive for the
could be
government
a
to
Poe,
go.
but again, that's a whole it's indistinguishable from the real shit that's there.
The government could be like, look, you're going to go get this job. You're going to be a plumber, okay? And you're going to work, and then you're going to drive home during rush hour at night just to piss off these drivers. But you are working as a plumber, and you will get paid as a plumber, right? It's like, well, what the fuck?
I mean, have you ever known anybody who it's like, oh, it's 4 o'clock.
I'm a government driver.
I gotta drive around for an hour. I'm just gonna go down and come back just so I can fill up the streets. Which of course then the government's going to have to pay to expand because we're filling up the street and the traffic is bad.
I will follow her for free just to piss her off.
Joe in a car. Okay.
We don't, again, I'll say
in a car.
I've said this before. We are all so lucky, guys, all of us, because
we're not stupid.
Because we, I used to say this to people when I was younger. I would try to cheer people up, like teenagers or my 20s. Lots of people like have a problem. I go, this is no big deal. Look, let me give you a few. Let me give you the list of things that's great. You can read and write. A lot of people in the world can't read and write.
Right.
You actually are not starving. You're not starving. You're young. I just had this list I would tell people.
You don't have to drink shit water every day.
These basics,
Right.
I know. Like to live in a world where you think
lucky.
Imagine living in a world where you think the government is actually doing things like that. That's a scary world to live in. That's not a healthy mental place to be. Like you're everywhere you drive where there's traffic.
So remember what I was saying before about not having enough information to see how the whole thing works?
Yes.
That applies to a lot of people about our government or about society or just, again, the world. They don't have enough knowledge to know how things work. It's a mysterious black box to them. So they believe things like they do this and that. They don't know who they is. They don't know how different, institutions or centers of power interact with each other.
And the fact that
they have no concept about it.
Things like that couldn't be covered up.
Yes.
It would be humanly impossible to cover up something.
They can't even think their way through that. They just don't know how the world works.
So why don't they know how the world works? Are they not reading enough? Are they not watching enough
all of those
good
things.
TV?
I think it's systemic, Bob. I think there's going to be out of the box a percentage of people that just don't have a thirst for knowledge. But
some people don't read. They don't read books. They don't read articles.
But you go, they probably had a very.
I haven't read a book since I left school. Or common quotes.
They probably had a bad education. What? They could have also had parents that were not involved or didn't encourage them or didn't
engage with them.
Didn't even pose things to them to show them like this is something of interest. Let me explain why, and and challenge them at all. It's all these things. I mean, I can go through.
They were probably intellectually and culturally impoverished.
Yeah,
and again, that's partly our privilege, right? So
yeah,
I know
absolutely,
and I know we are aware of this, and I know we're just sitting here making fun of people on the internet, but we are aware of our privilege and that a lot of people did not have that privilege.
Absolutely.
But as an adult, you do have a certain amount of responsibility for your own life and your own self as well.
Yeah.
So both things could be true at the same time. Where yes, you are a victim of your circumstance, but you're a freaking adult and you can take charge of your own life too.
I just feel lucky that I get a dopamine hit learning about something
understanding
new,
something,
right? And I'm encouraged. I feel good when I'm learning something interesting or something new or filling a gap that I didn't realize that I had. And I don't hesitate to admit that I'm wrong or admit that I don't know something. Like those are not bad features. These are actually great. Like I'm just lucky that I. Like part of our skeptical training, the humility thing. Like we're just lucky, guys. We are lucky that we have all of these.
But the humility thing
faculties.
too is that it's all a continuum, right? It's all a spectrum, and everyone is somewhere along that line. There's always somebody farther along than you, not as far as you, and you're in different places in different topics.
Right.
So again, we do need to remind ourselves to stay humble about that. We're all just humans stumbling through life, trying to get by, and so. It's important not to be too judgmental and I always like to take a nurturing approach. Of course, that's all of what we're doing. We are spending our time trying to discuss these things and teach what we know to try to pass things forward. We were taught by people. We want to pass that teaching forward.
But I can get enjoyment out of talking to that person. Like,
sure.
And,
I would love to explain this directly to people like that and have a conversation with them about it. Absolutely.
If only we had a way to communicate with people.
That might be a fun little thing.
Well, we're doing what we can.
All right, so is it time for me to go?
Yeah, you guys can get out of here.
We did get one super chat that somebody wanted me to
Bye,
read.
everybody.
What was it? What?
Have a great week.
Wait, Ian wants. There was one question.
Yeah, let's see. Okay. It was about our politics discussion. What about calls for a nationwide general strike this Friday?
I mean, I've heard that,
Yeah.
and I haven't thought deeply about it yet, but superficially it seems reasonable.
General strikes, from what I understand, do take a lot of prep, especially nationwide. So
They take a lot of what?
A prep, like preparedness.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have.
yeah,
I mean, it's all a lot of unions.
Yeah,
coming
whipping out your
together.
ass in a couple of days.
You
is
can't
probably
just
gonna,
tweet about it.
I'd piss on a spark plug if I thought it was.
But there are a lot of calls in the Twin Cities.
And I hope
about that.
everybody appreciated my
Good luck.
voodoo
Do it.
T-shirt that I got in.
You always love that voodoo that you do.
This is the other one. I don't think I've worn this yet. So this was the first
pretty
one.
cool.
I love this one. It's a really cool image.
All right, goodbye, everybody. See you
Bye.
next week, Steve.
Yeah, Steve is going to do
talk
some
to you tomorrow.
TikToks,
Wanna
so
come
stand
tonight?
by. We're going to do
What time?
I don't know. I'll be done with my meeting at 5:30.
What are you making?
I'll make it the pasta and the sauce.
Oh, what kind of
And
pasta?
homemade bread?
What kind?
Yeah, maybe.
I think I have the rigatoni.
That's the one.
I'm gonna have to skip the gym, but I think it's worth it.
But red sauce? Or
All right, I'll
what do
come
you do
by.
with the
Red
rigatoni?
sauce. I have some frozen bread. I don't have.
What time?
Make the fresh bread. And you
It's
got
not fresh bread. It's not fresh bread. It's gonna be
Make it
frozen
seem
bread.
fresh.
Yeah.
But you made it.
But you guys could bring drinks or something. I don't know.
Freshly shredded Parmesan cheese.
That'd be great. Yeah.
What time?
Somebody was
I will be
complaining.
done working at 5:30, so you can come. Come whenever you want. You can sit in my house and play video games.
Somebody was complaining that you mentioned
All right, what kind of
pierogies,
games?
and now they're hungry.
All right.
I have.
You want the pierogies?
That was Steve Blackie who did that.
That's right.
Ian, I'll see you at that meeting.
All right, I'll see you at the meeting.
Bye, gents.
Can you send me a word for the email?
Sure. Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, we're going to move on to the TikToks. We'll just do a couple of them. We got to clean up the space a little bit. So, all right, thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, stand by. Drooling now. Arrivederci. Yeah, just that one and that one and that. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, everybody's going to Jay's house. His address is bleep.
All right, let's talk about some more stupid people.
All right, let's see. Wait, just talk on that mic. Make sure it's coming through.
Checking 1, 2.
There it is.
This is the one that's working.
That's the one that's
All right.
working. I don't know what happened to the other one.
Mics that work are much more effective than ones that
You know
don't.
what, Jen? All right, stand by chat. We're going to do this. Is that unmuted? Yes, yes. Here we go.
So how stereotypically Italian were we just now? Hey, come on, you come to my house for some
Come
pasta,
over.
and you got the real bread or just the frozen stuff? I mean, I'll bring the Parmesan
rigatoni.
cheese.
We got red sauce. So we got some of it. You didn't say gabagool, which are, you know,
Gabagool?
that's a little Jersey Italian. I feel like. I don't know,
Yeah.
does anybody say gabagool up here? I've never heard anybody say it really.
I mean, we say it as a joke.
Yeah.
We don't say it in real life.
Yeah, it's not really. Anyway, all right, here we go.
If you're a scientist and a professional, you need to do your homework before you open your mouth. Excuse that I hear time and time again. Well, that's mostly nonsense and I don't have time to read nonsense. Well, then why are you finding the time to talk about, to argue against nonsense? You can find the time to argue against nonsense without looking into the nonsense, but you can't find the time to research it.
Somebody like a Neil deGrasse Tyson.
I'm thinking if we were being visited, somebody would have some good footage. If we were being visited, I'm thinking maybe Google satellite images would catch spaceships that are not airplanes moving on our surface. If we were being visited, I'm thinking we'd have something better than fuzzy monochromatic video of objects that apparently reveal themselves only to Navy pilots.
The same thing over and over again, which is like no high resolution imagery.
Are there any high-resolution pictures of quasars? I don't think so.
But they exist.
But they exist.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have high-resolution pictures of exoplanets either, yet David Kipping and I study them. Scientists, when they come to this topic, they throw their brains out the window and then open their mouths. It's maddening.
There are a lot of people that can be shepherded into bad frameworks and to not even looking at certain stigmatized topics because ideas are fashion statements and those are bad fashion. So you think of this priestly citadel as like infallible when it comes to thinking about these things. In some ways, they can be shepherded even more easily because they think they're so smart. They think they can't be tricked.
What's kind of interesting is that a lot of what they said, I sort of agree with the idea. They're just applying it in the wrong way. I do think even if you're a scientist, if you're going to comment on pseudoscience or on popular misconceptions, you need to do it from a position of understanding the pseudoscience itself. You can't just understand the science. You need to understand what people are actually saying, what are they putting forward for evidence, et cetera. That's why you need to be not just a scientist, but what we would call a scientific skeptic, right? But they're applying it to Neil deGrasse Tyson, who in this case actually knows what he's talking about, and they're doing it to back up an old UFO believer trope, this notion that critics of belief in UFOs haven't seen the evidence and they don't know what they're talking about and they haven't invested the time. It is not true, certainly not of all of the critics. So for example, I've been following the UFO story for 50 years. I've read multiple books about it, countless articles. I've looked at any evidence anyone cares to show me. I've investigated tons of individual UFO stories, and so have a lot of skeptics. And it's not even my specialty. There are skeptics who are specialists in UFO mythology and UFO lore who have an incredibly deep knowledge of the UFO literature, if you will. The fact is, Tyson's point there is perfectly valid. If the Earth were being visited by alien spacecraft, you would think that over time, especially as our technology improved, as cameras have become more ubiquitous, as we have more and more satellites in orbit, etc., that at least every now and then we would capture, an unambiguous picture or video of an actual alien spacecraft. But we don't have that. We do not have any smoking gun evidence. We do not have any high quality evidence. In fact, all the evidence that's put forward by the believers is, in a word, crap. It is really terrible. They don't have anything compelling. What they find compelling to me is completely low quality, ambiguous. It's the equivalent of blob squatch, right? The blurriness is the phenomenon. If these pictures or videos were in close up, good resolution, good focus, we would see that it is a bird or an airplane or something mundane, that it is not an alien spacecraft. It is the fact that you can't identify it that is the phenomenon itself. And whenever believers say, but what about this case? We do have, it never pans out. They're always referring to secondhand evidence, or they're referring to evidence that has been revealed as a hoax. Because we could have AI make you a video of an alleged alien spacecraft, but you have to show that the evidence is real too. But so none of it has crossed that threshold. There is no evidence that stands up to reasonable, scientific, skeptical scrutiny. So they're just wrong. Then, of course, they fall back on we don't have, a clear photo of a quasar, but we think they exist, which again is an old UFO trope. I mean, I've had that thrown at me again for 50 years. Have you ever seen the Great Wall of China in person yourself? Well, then how do you know it really exists? So what they're saying is they don't understand how science operates and how scientific evidence works. All science is an inference to the most likely explanation, right? We are looking at all the data and saying, what's the most likely explanation for all of this information that we have, all the research, all the observations, all the data. In the case of UFOs, there are competing hypotheses to the alien visitation hypothesis. There's what I call the psychocultural hypothesis. That is a cultural phenomenon due to neurological, psychological phenomenon, as well. And that is far and away the best explanation for all the evidence that's presented as evidence for for space aliens, for UFOs. What we don't have is any evidence that requires there to actually be aliens visiting the Earth. For quasars, there's a reason we don't have, close-up photos of quasars, because they're billions of light years away, and we have the best, evidence that we can get from the instruments that we have. And we didn't just, come up with the idea or believe it for no reason. Astronomers have been building a case that they exist through research and doing multiple observations, et cetera. And it is a theory that is just the one that's the best supported by all the evidence that we currently have. It would be overturned, what we think quasars are and et cetera, if a better interpretation of the data came out or new evidence came out that was inconsistent with that formulation, et cetera. So again, if we take aliens are visiting the Earth and that they are partly responsible for the UFO phenomenon as a scientific hypothesis, it is perfectly reasonable to say the evidence does not support that hypothesis. In fact, it supports the alternative hypothesis that it's just a psychological and cultural phenomenon way better. And Tyson's point that we do not have the video evidence that we probably should have if aliens were visiting the Earth is an absolutely salient one.
All right, good. UFO, UAP.
Have you ever seen the Great Wall of China in person, Ian?
No, I have not.
So how do you know it exists? Have you ever been to France?
I come from France. No.
So how do you know France exists?
I mean, didn't we save them in the war? So
well, history.
Right.
Somebody could have made up the French language and all French culture.
In a way.
And everyone who says they're from France could be a paid crisis actor or whatever.
That's true. I mean, I wouldn't put it past those French. You know who we really got to look out for? Those Quebecois. I don't know. They pretend to be French too. And I'm kidding. Don't attack me. I love you. Keep your poutine. Okay, what are we doing?
Want to debunk Dr. Mercola? Yeah. First of all, read Science-Based Medicine. Look up Mercola on Science-Based Medicine, and you'll find lots of articles there. But yeah, we could touch on.
So it's sciencebasedmedicine.org. Check it out.
Sciencebasedmedicine.org.
Yeah. VD comes from France. Wait, which VD? Anyway, all right, we're moving on to this one, cemetery one. Cemetery gates. All right, here we go. Stand by.
Well, where do French fries come from, Ian? That's what I really want to know.
In France, it's the Royale Double. What is it? What did I forget? French fries are definitely American, aren't they? or well, I guess they would be pommes frites.
So, do you think this guy's a Poe?
Which
one?
Just
ask you that.
Oh, this guy who's doing the cemetery thing?
I mean, I don't think so, but
I don't know. I think I have that jacket, by the way.
Yeah.
Although it might not be the jacket version.
It is funny how thin a line there is between hipster and hick.
Oh yeah,
it is really funny.
It's cool. You discovered that when you put a hat on
the
my
hat.
head.
You take that hat off his head, and he's a hipster.
He's got a man bun under there, so it's very close. Italian here. I've been to France. No, you've been to North Italy.
How do you know it was
North
France?
Italy.
How do you know it wasn't a studio recreation of what people think France is?
That's true. That's true. All right. Well, let's move on to the thing. All right, here we go. Stand by.
All right.
Have you noticed how we've not built any new cemeteries? Like any city, town you go to, they still have the same cemeteries they've had for hundreds of years. And people pass away all the time, yet these cemeteries never seem to fill up. There are always open plots of land where you can bury someone. So where are the bodies? Where are they going? What's happening to them? I've got this interesting theory that I've heard. Now, in the 1970s, there was this movie called Soylent Green. Now, Soylent Green was this movie starring Charlton Heston, and it was about this futuristic city in which the world had become overpopulated. They had destroyed the oceans, they had destroyed the earth, and times were really rough. And none of the people in the city could afford to buy any groceries. They couldn't afford just the normal things we get every day at the store. So, in order to keep them from starving, they were sold this very cheap stuff that was made in the factory. It was like a squared cracker or ration, and it was called Soylent Green, or yellow or red. And the people, because they were hungry, because they were starving, they would protest like every day. They would go out into the streets and have these huge protests. But these trucks would come around, and they would pick them up and take them away. And all these people were like disappearing. So Charlton Heston's character, who is this detective, he starts investigating this mysterious case, which leads him to the factory where they make this Soylent Green. And what he discovers is that the Soylent Green is made from humans. And when you kind of look around now, right, the same things are happening that happened in that movie, right? We are slowly destroying the oceans, the earth. Groceries have become unaffordable. They are now a luxury to most. And you wonder, the foods that we're getting that are so cheap that we're able to afford to buy, the only stuff that we can eat, what is it made of? Now, I'm curious what you think. Why do you think we are not building any new cemeteries? Have you?
I still don't understand how people have the time to make a video and post it online and don't have the 5 minutes it would take to look up some reasonable information about the question that he has. So I think that the question itself, why aren't we seeing lots of new cemeteries being built, is a reasonable one. The population of the world is increasing. There's over 8 billion people on the planet now. And the number of dead people is significantly increasing as well. Where are they all going? And you don't really see like a lot of new cemetery opening up soon, whatever, that doesn't, but again, so when you have an idea like that, here's just a short list of things you could do. First, ask the question, is it really true? Is my observation actual reality, or maybe I don't know what's going on? So if it is true that we collectively, like the United States or society, we're not building a lot of new cemeteries. I wouldn't say zero. We are building some new cemeteries. You could look up how many. I think there's 10 to 30 or somewhere under construction. But that's because there isn't a lot of land available. Cemeteries take up a lot of land, and especially near cities and large towns, etc., land is at a premium. It'd be really expensive to buy a plot of land in or near a big city just to bury bodies in. You probably not a viable business model, right? So what are cemeteries doing then when they run out of space? That's actually a valid question, and the answer maybe you might find interesting. So one thing that they're doing is they're using the land as efficiently as possible, right? They're basically finding new plots to bury people within their existing space. That could mean converting a sidewalk into plots, for example. They're also making the plots smaller. So they're they're basically packing them in closer together, just like seats on an airplane, right? They're trying to get more bodies into the same physical space. Further, they're using vertical space. Mainly that means building mausoleums where you could stack people up, and so there's more people buried per unit of land, right? So you don't have to necessarily expand. Some cemeteries are just acquiring adjacent land, right? So they are physically expanding, not building a new cemetery, but they are expanding the actual amount of land that they have. And a lot more people are getting cremated, and it takes a lot less space to put an urn in a mausoleum. There's a different name for just putting urns in there, but than there is to put a whole body there. In some parts of the world, like I know this is a thing in Europe, you don't really buy the plot of land, you lease it for like 20 years. And after 20 years, they remove what's left and they bury somebody new there. So they're reusing the grave. They put the whatever's left, they put them in a common consecrated area, right? But you're not taking up your own plot. And they're burying people, they're stacking them, right? They're burying them on top of each other. I know, for example, we have a family plot, and my parents have, and a lot of my parents' generation and even their parents are buried vertically. Like there's multiple people in one position. So that's what's happening. They're making better use of the land. They're stacking things up, both going up and going down. More people are getting cremated because there isn't an infinite amount of land to expand into in terms of building more cemeteries. But no, Soylent Green was not a documentary. We're not eating people. They're not secretly taking people and turning them into food. How would that work, by the way? You buy or lease a plot of land, you see the coffin going into the ground. What do you think is happening? They're going in there later, stealing the body, turning him into food, and then repurposing that. But then you go to the graveyard and your tombstone is there that you paid for, and it's, I don't know, how are they reusing that land without you knowing it? Are they swapping out the tombstones before you get there? Obviously that's silly. And if you get your loved one cremated and you get an urn with ashes, is that not their loved one? They sent them away to be made into food and gave you some other kind of ashes? And who's doing this, and how are they keeping it hidden, and how has nobody cracked this vast conspiracy theory? It makes no sense. It crumbles if you think about it even a little bit, which I highly encourage you to do when you have these ideas about, why don't you see a lot of new cemeteries being built? Rather than leaping for some ridiculous conspiracy theory modeled after the plot of a movie, you could do a little bit of research and you could think it through to see if it makes even the most minimal basic sense before you leap over all of that and go right to the internet.
All right. There we go. Cemeteries.
A lot more people are getting cremated.
That's true. Burials are very expensive.
They are.
They're just.
It's kind of a waste. I mean, think about it. We're going to use land just to put a body in there. I mean,
yeah, in a coffin, in a big thing. It's a whole.
And then they hermetically seal it so it to delay the rot as fast as you can. Why would you want to? Are you going to take a look at it at some point in the future? It's silly. It's completely ridiculous. It is totally upselling for no reason.
Yeah. You've probably seen the cultural traditions where they unearth some of their relatives. I think it's in Southeast Asia.
Yeah,
they
yes.
do that, and they do the whole thing.
Yeah,
with
but that's we're not talking.
No,
about.
Obviously, but there's an interesting thing.
No, so some cultures do sort of semi-preserve the bodies or mummify them or whatever.
Or they do the last not moments, but they set them up in a scene of what people remember them by, not just in the coffin. That's pretty wild too. You could argue it's creepy, but it's kind of.
But if you're putting them in a box under the ground, why would you care how long it takes them to decay and rot?
That's true. It's I don't know. Is donating your body to science still a popular thing?
Absolutely. I highly recommend you donate your body to science.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good idea.
But they still send your remains back to the family and they do something with them, probably cremate them.
Yeah, probably. All right. So, do we have another one? Do you want to do the Alex Pretty one? That one.
What was the other one?
It was this guy who did the full.
This fucking guy. Yeah, this guy.
Yeah, this guy's a big effing guy. All right, let me make sure this audio's up.
You also don't necessarily need to show the whole video. I mean, you could do it in editing.
Yeah, I'll just do a little bit. This one. Yeah. The other ones kind of had to get to a point. I'll probably even cut those down too. Stand by.
Okay, so Renee Good and Alex Pretty both happen to have been 37 years old when they were shot. Both of their last names happen to be adjectives, Pretty and Good. All right, that's no big deal, coincidence, I guess. Alex Pretty's birthday was June 1st, 1988, 6/1/1988. These numbers add up to 33. Renee was taken out near a street called Nicolette. Where Alex Pretty was shot, there was a sign directly behind him that said Nicolette. Renee had 3 small kids. Do you think you would even be doing the things she was doing if you had kids? I don't know a single mother that would be blocking a road with her car, harassing ICE agents if you have kids. They say she was an...
So this is a really great example of what we call, it's either anomaly hunting or pattern recognition, right? You're looking for patterns. And then you say, well, is that just a coincidence? What's the odds that we would see this connection between, Renee Good and Alex Pretty were both 37 years old. I noticed that too. And he's the same age as the other woman who got killed. But is that a coincidence? Yes, it's a coincidence. But you see, then you ask the question, well, what are the odds that they're both the same age? And that's, of course, the wrong question. So this is the 2-punch of anomaly hunting or pattern recognition, followed by what we call the lottery fallacy, right? The lottery fallacy is you look for a connection, and then you ask the question, what are the odds of that specific connection happening? When, of course, you weren't looking for that specific connection. You were looking for any connection. So you really have to ask, the question, what are the odds of any such connection being found? The reason why it's called the lottery fallacy is because it comes from the fact that if let's say the odds of winning the lottery are 100 million to 1, John Smith wins the lottery, and you say, well, he must have cheated, right? Because the odds of him winning were 100 million to 1. But you really should be asking, what are the odds of anyone winning? And it's pretty good, right? At some point, someone's going to win the lottery. Most weeks, someone wins the lottery, and it's a certainty after enough weeks, right? So someone's got to win. So after the fact, what was the chance that he won? 100%, he won. Now it's the difference between predicting ahead of time that John Smith was going to win, or after he won, asking what are the odds that he won, right? Statistics are not intuitive, and people get messed up on little things like that. But that's the lottery fallacy. The other thing that people miss is, like, what are the chances of this pattern occurring, this random alignment of these two variables? And the answer is it's much higher than you think, because it's the law of large numbers, right? We massively underestimate the opportunities for there to be a connection between the two things. So how many variables were there between these two people? Again, their ages, their birthdays, the letters in their name, the numbers that they add up to. And he even force fits things. He said their last names, Good and Pretty, are both adjectives. His last name is Pretty, not Pretty. But he fudged it in order to make an apparent connection there. And what does that connection mean? Nothing. It's so obviously just a random connection that doesn't mean anything. But he's just throwing it out there as if this can't be a coincidence, so there must be something going on. But it can be a coincidence. If you couldn't find things like this, that would be remarkable. That would defy the odds, right? And there's so much of this. I mean, there's entire books written about the coincidences, the alignments between the Kennedy assassination and the Lincoln assassination. And in isolation, there are things that may seem remarkable, but you have to realize there are thousands of potential correlations times thousands of other comparisons that you're making. There's, probably at the end of the day, millions of potential alignments that you could have. And yes, any one of them was as unlikely as John Smith winning the lottery, but they're also as likely as somebody winning the lottery. And that is the key. That is why, yes, these are just coincidences.
All right.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that's a good classic skeptical
People
one.
don't get it. I'm actually arguing right now in the comments with somebody who I can't get them to understand the lottery fallacy. I don't think they want to understand, but
yeah,
there's too much riding on them not understanding it. But I'm just explaining it for other people who are reading it.
The Monty Hall is such a good one that you're just
the Monty Hall
intuitions are just so busted.
Well, that's more of a demonstration of innumeracy. It's just we're just bad at math.
That's true.
But like you could ask a question, if you pick any, like if you pick the lottery, you have 6 numbers between 1 and 36, and you just pick 6 random numbers, and you say versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which one is more likely to occur? And the answer is it's the same. Yeah. The odds of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coming out are exactly the same as any 6 random numbers.
Correct.
It just feels like it's more unlikely because there's an obvious pattern to it, but it's just as unlikely as those specific 6 numbers. But we don't think there's anything special about it because they appear random. Right. But again, our intuition about that sort of thing just sucks.
I feel like the flipping the coin one should help people because it's like, what would possibly be affecting the coin for the next flip?
Yeah, so
previous
that's the fallacy there is thinking that past events influence future events,
right?
Even in a random system, right? So if the premise is that flipping a coin is a genuinely random system, And if that is true, the gambler's fallacy. If that is true, there are no streaks. You're not due for heads to come out. Not all of that is illusion. It's every flip. If it's an independent random flip, it's 50-50. And nothing will deviate it from 50-50. But it feels like if I flipped heads 10 times in a row, it feels like you could make the point either way. We're in a streak of heads, so heads is more likely to come out. Or you could say, well, tails are due, so it's more likely to come out. Nope. Now that it's already happened, you've completely reset. It's still 50-50. The explanation that I've had the most success with of getting people to wrap their head around it is the coin doesn't remember.
Right.
There's no mechanism for it to remember what's happened in the past. It's as if it never happened.
Right.
So you have to believe in feng shui or some kind of magic in the universe that does remember. But of course, that's magic.
The god of flipping coins.
Yeah. And of course, if you have any large data set where you look at the numbers, there are no patterns. There's no streaks. There's no due. There's nothing. It's random. But casinos love it when people believe shit like that because it makes them lose more money.
That's true. You know what's not random? If you go to our patreon.com and sign up to become a member, and you get all kinds of fun stuff. And
yes.
So just do that.
You could become a Patreon of the SGU and support all the things that we're doing.
Right.
The studio, these live streams, the podcast, everything. And we have a separate Patreon for Political Reality podcast. People ask, why is there a separate Patreon for that? Because there's a different subset of people who are doing that. There are like Andrea, for example, is not involved at all. And also it costs resources to do it. It's a separate thing that we're doing. It's time and there are physical aspects to it, everything. So everything costs resource. Everything costs money.
Everything costs money. So sign up there. Also,
and there's no ads in that.
That's right. Intentionally, we have no ads. We're not, we don't want to be swayed.
Gotta do one
nothing.
thing or the other, right? I mean,
can't even be swayed by underwear.
I love those. You go like you're getting an ad embedded in a game, and it's this game has no ads, and it's free, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, then what's your business model? You're making money off of me somehow. And so usually that means there's in-app purchases, what that means. It's a pay-to-play scheme.
That's true.
But they're doing something, right? They're either there's ads or you buy. I personally would rather just buy it. I'd pay $5 just to not worry about all the other shit.
Totally.
What happened to that model? Why can't we just buy stuff anymore?
You can't own things anymore. You have to lease it or rent it or whatever.
With the in-app purchases. Just forget about it. Let me just give you money and just let me play the freaking game.
I think we did a segment last winter about people holding lighters up to snow and it burning or it won't melt, and it just like releases soot because it's a dirty combustion, right? Isn't it? From the butane, it's just like that's why it turns black. And people are like, "Oh, it's plastic." No, it's just combustion or whatever. All right. Well, that's it for the week. Yes, we will be back next Wednesday.
See you next Wednesday.
We're still recording more AQ6s. In fact, AQ6 we have another record session.
Couple next Tuesday.
Yeah, so we're gonna try to get those out. We're really focusing on PR, so that's why it's happening.
But now that that's out and that's sort of it's in the
movement.
The tube. Yeah, it's happening.
Yeah.
In the pipeline, as they say. We're going to really focus now on getting AQ6 out. We have a bunch of episodes in the can, and we're continuing to record them.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Subscribe. Tell your friends. Tell your mama. Tell your grandma. Whatever. All right. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Ian.